everybody. I just saw we can now add videos, Rod, as the background.
Oh, that's cool.
We're not distracted enough. We could put something more distracting like behind us on StreamYard.
Nice.
All right.
I'm
Kat, the nurse flipper. I'm joined by Rod Picking and Punching. My co-host below me is Jimmy Old School Flips. He's been on before, but it's been a little while, so we are happy to have him back. And catty corner to me is Ken, the Hustle Bee. It is his first time on, so we are happy to have him with us. So I'm going to make Jimmy and Ken big so they can introduce themselves to you guys and let you know what they've got going on. And then we will get to your questions. Get them in early, guys. We, I think, ended with like 20 something last week. We had a lot last week. So get them in early. And yeah, here is Jimmy.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jimmy Old School Flips on YouTube, Instagram, and a little bit of TikTok. Main thing I got going on is my main channel, Old School Flips, yard sale videos, me picking and finding stuff out of yard sales. And I sell on eBay, strictly eBay.
Perfect. Here's Ken.
Hi, guys. I am Ken, the Hustle Bee. I mostly sell on eBay, but I do sell on Poshmark, StockX, and Goat. So category I sell in is sneakers and streetwear. So the Hustle Bee on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube as well. And also we just launched a new podcast, so Seller Club Podcast on IG. So that's what we've been up to.
Perfect. Rod, anything important before we start?
No. After these bunch of overachievers, so.
Wow.
All right. Let's hit some questions. And we got a new member, 865 Picker. So I will grab that after this question. Rosie wants to know, how and where do you store your inventory? And what are your tips for maximizing storage in a small space?
So, I mean, I have a very organized basement. I keep shelves with custom SKUs. So, like, I have shelf A1 and I custom SKU everything that's on there. A1, but I do have a lot of space. So the small space will be a harder question for me to answer, but the most important, stay organized. Don't let it get out of control. Keep it as organized as possible. Use those tools that you have, like the custom SKU and stuff like that. Tubs are a really good way. Clear tubs are a good thing to use so you can see what's in there. But keep it organized. Don't let it get out of control.
Do I answer next?
Yep. No, you go next.
All right, go. So we store our inventory in the Beehive. So I'm just joking. We're pretty lucky here in Ohio. We have basements. So we intentionally purchased this house because the basement is the exact footprint of the house. So it is 1,500 square foot basement with shelves, wooden shelves. Everything's open. We do organize by brand and gender, so Nikes, Adidas. So that's how we do it. But I do agree with Jimmy. Organization is key. That is definitely the strong suit of my wife. So we're husband and wife duo. So she is technically the inventory manager. So yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, you have to be super organized, over organized, if that's a word. Because it will help you do the hard work up front.
So for me, one thing I did was, before I actually got like a little like warehouse and storage and stuff like that, what I did was I really tried to maximize my space in my garage. So I actually went out and I bought those stainless steel restaurant shelving units that actually have the wheels on the bottom. The reason why I did that here is I actually lined them up against the wall. Instead of having everyone has them lined up the long way, I put them side by side like you would in a library, so you can pull them out and slide them. So that way I was able to really maximize my space. Now they are more expensive. You're gonna be paying like $150 a piece for those. So that does add up, especially if you're having 6-7 of them at a time in there. So that's one thing. Also too is if you have a garage, you can get those. You can actually install the storage attached to your ceiling, so you can add an extra layer in there too. I know a lot of people have done that. You might want to also too, if you're really limited in space, you might want to switch up kind of what you're selling too. Maybe try to focus more on smalls, paper products, items like that. Just for the fact that you don't want to be buying blow molds if you live in a 1,000 square foot place, because that's going to fill up real fast. But I will say a lot of people don't want to spend the extra money. But I will say, before I almost got divorced before I got married because I had so much stuff that was starting to take over our house. And, my wife finally, after many, many talks and I would say lots of yelling and shoe throwing, she convinced me to get a little storage unit, and that storage unit got bigger and bigger over time. But I will say the peace of mind I got just by putting stuff in the small 10 by 10, and you can get one for probably about $100 a month. If you're trying to grow your business, it is a well worth the investment, because if you're in a small place, it gives you more place to work and be functional, and you won't believe how much more you will get done without the clutter around you. So.
Yeah, so I don't have a small space, so it's really hard for me. I have a rental house 20 feet from my house. I just filled it with one buy, a 1,200 square foot house. I thought all the stuff would fit in the living room, the dining room. It is now in all of the bedrooms, as well as the living room and the dining room. So I am not very good at that. We have about 4,000 square feet of storage. I do have a shed farm, and now I have a house in my shed farm. But I agree with Rod. I would think about switching what you're selling if you don't have much space and you're not wanting to get a storage area. Jewelry is something that is really, really small. As he said, ephemera is really easy. Even like ornaments, Christmas ornaments are pretty small individually and don't take much. Oh yeah, free wood. We have pallets out here. And I'm thinking about building stuff with them, but use as much space vertically as you can. So get shelves all the way up to the top of the ceiling, get a step stool. That's what I would do if I didn't have a lot of space. But definitely, like Jimmy said, keep it all organized. We know where 95% of stuff is. When we first started, we didn't. But it doesn't really matter what you're labeling it, as long as you can find it. Like all of the boxes we just got are like box 1, box 2, and that way we know where they're at. Oh yeah, postcards are good too.
Yeah.
Mike is saying that's true. Postcards are a good thing. So, which is more the paper stuff, which is flat. So
Kat,
think about that smaller.
Do you use clear totes for your storage at all?
So in the new shed, the newest, which is this one, I have banker's boxes because most of it was my death pile, and I was cherry picking what I was listing.
Gotcha.
So I actually got the banker's boxes to stop myself from doing that. So I grab a box and I list whatever's in it, because when I had clear totes, I would see stuff I wanted to list and not just, go through everything. Now we're almost through the death pile, with the exception of the big buy we just did. And so I probably have 10% in clear totes. Most of mine are on either the industrial steel shelves, which I got at a high bid auction, or on custom wood shelves my husband built. So most stuff I can see, they're not in anything. They're just on shelves.
I would say just for inventory purposes, the clear totes work great, especially if you're in a small space, because you can see, which inventory boxes are half full. So you can actually when you do lists, put new items in those. But I was just curious. I was just curious if you did, because Jimmy mentioned about clear totes. So I switched over clear totes a couple of years ago, and I thought it made a big difference for inventory purposes.
I went from clear to not clear, but I agree it would help. But what I do instead of being able to see is when I'm pulling, if I notice a box is half empty, I actually have a notepad in my phone and I write that box. So I tell the girls when they're listing, like, here's what's open as far as where stuff goes. Emma says, Jimmy, you have to plug Sonia's new channel. And I love Sonia. I've met her, so I'm going to pop this up here. Jimmy, tell us about Sonia's new channel.
Yeah, I'm actually going to edit a video for it tonight. Sonia Thrifts. It's going to be Sonia. It's going to be mostly her shopping at the thrift and finding clothes and the kind of stuff that she, now that she's full-time, the stuff that she's looking for to help grow this business and try to learn new niches that I haven't really messed with. So Sonia Thrifts.
Sonia Thrifts. Mark, will you get that link and drop it in the chat so everybody can go find Sonia? Please, thank you. Since you were 5 minutes late. Oh, I'm going to do Miss Valerie and then I'll get you 865 picker. Valerie said, do you find that the majority of items you list are in good condition so you don't have to deal with pointing out flaws and imperfections?
Yeah, that's pretty for my category, which is like I do a lot of toys and I like finding vintage toys. So no, I find a lot of toys that are dinged up, banged up, but they still sell in that category. Like it's okay to sell. I just sold a 1977 like Han Solo that had some damage, and that's fine in that category. But like for clothing and shoes and stuff like that, I've gotten picky to where I make sure I'm looking it over for that kind of stuff before I buy it anymore. Because I don't do a lot of clothing. When I do, I usually go into the vintage stuff like that, and same with shoes. So yes, for that category, yes, I for the most part try to avoid stuff that has flaws on purpose. Now, if it's something that's super rare, super hard to find, I'll buy it and point it out and notate it. But it's definitely by category. Electronics can have scuffs and scratches on the outer surface, and as long as the VCR combo plays, you can still sell it, right? So, but clothes and shoes, definitely, I try to. That's just for me, though.
Yeah. So with us, about 95% of our product is brand new. But I do buy used collection, so sneakers that are in still really good condition. I would say 9 out of 10 condition, and those are the things that I actually have to clean, especially if they're a high dollar item. So I try to shoot for, you know, um, basically if I have to clean it and spend time in it, it has to be something over $250. So that's kind of like just been our rule of thumb. That way we just have a process faster.
Yeah, so Kim made a good point. Time is money. So if you are going to have to clean something, it has to be worth my time. And I always like to say is I'm buying profits, not projects.
Hmm.
But that doesn't mean that I do buy items that aren't dinged up. But if I have to put any extra work into them or any elbow grease, it has to be worth. It's going to have to increase that bottom line. If I'm going to put 5, 10, 20 minutes in something, I want to get $50 out of that, $100 extra out of that. So it just as Jimmy said, comes down to different categories. When you're dealing with toys, especially, I sell a lot of toys on card, and a lot of those cards are going to have shelfware to them. So I have to put in my listing card has shelfware, but that's okay because your hardcore collectors, they see that it has shelfware, they won't buy it. They want stuff that's mint, but other people will buy it. The stuff that is dinged up, and they'll open it to, because the action figure is mint, and they can put it on display mint. So it really just comes down to the different category. Like Jimmy said, electronics. I just sold a Bose stereo actually today that was all beat up, but I sold it for a discount because it worked great. But Bose plays great. So most of the time now, I'm going to try to avoid any additional extra work unless it's worth my time.
So for me, I would say probably 60% have flaws and imperfections, and that's because I buy a lot of lots. And so I'm getting a lot of stuff that's going to have minor wear. A lot of it's one-off, so there's not many available, so I know it'll still sell. With jewelry, if it's really high-end and it's missing 1 or 2 stones, it still sells really high. And I do sell the stuff on Whatnot because I know a lot of people are kind of good at fixing it, and a lot of the stones are really like a standard size. They could get one to replace it, so I will start those at a lower bid. But if I haven't put a video out, I've been trying to. We just bought over 2,000 Hermes, Prada, Louis Vuitton, Chanel empty boxes, and a lot of those do have flaws, and they're not cheap. Some of these boxes sell for $300 to $500. So we're having to put, if they have a tiny dent or if they have a rip, we have to put each one. And the majority of them have some kind of flaw. So I would say, honestly, the most of our inventory has some kind of flaw or another. All right, we have 2 members, so I'm going to give them both the dolphin at the same time. Miss Linda joined, and
You got Amy too. You got 3. You got Amy.
Oh, I have 3. Okay, we have Linda, 865 picker. I'm trying to find Amy. Amy, where are you?
I got it.
Oh, Amy.
Well, better for 4 months, but
Oh, yeah. Amy's been in for 4 months, so
okay.
I like how that shows up. It didn't used to, though. We wouldn't see it in StreamYard. Now it shows up. Thank you, guys, and we're going to have the eBay store reviews this Thursday, and I'll post later tonight or tomorrow for you guys to pop your stores up. It can be eBay, Etsy, Mercari, whatever you want. I can look at your listings. You don't have to have a store. So yeah, good time to join the membership. We do that once a month, and I'm going to give you a dolphin if I can find it. La, la, la. Where did it go?
The missing
Where is
dolphin.
it? Oh, I found it. Here you go.
Ace Ventura.
Welcome to the flipping family.
You totally made me just picture like Dan Marino and
Ray Finkel.
Ray Finkel.
Yeah. I like that movie. I like Jim Carrey. All right.
The first movie was great, though. Now you got me thinking. The first movie was great. Do you guys like the second and third?
I love the second one.
You know the second?
I think I like the first the best.
Yeah, the first is where it's at.
I mean, that's usually with most movies, though. The first movie is always going to be the best compared to those. Except for Terminator. Terminator 2 is better than the first one.
Amy sent us a super chat.
Yeah,
$10.
good soundtrack, that's for sure.
It is, yeah. All right, what am I giving you? Eeny, meeny, miny. Here you go. Dun, dun, dun. Thank you, Gino. Gino makes all of those for us. I wanted to put this up. Sandy got her tape on Saturday. She won it Tuesday, and it was to her by Saturday. So shout out to American Bubble Boy for getting that tape there that fast. That is like some seriously fast service.
Yeah, that means they didn't get the order. They didn't get that order to Wednesday since we were late Tuesday night, and that's fast turnaround.
I even gave her the code till Thursday because I was late. So it came from Thursday to Saturday. Yeah. So that is good. Okay. Absolute Fine says if you drop below standard on eBay and promoted listings are taken away. So you guys know if you are rated below standard on eBay, you lose your ability to promote. Do you have to wait until reevaluation to get them back? But she's saying she appealed, and in the chat, I was chatting with her a little bit. She said she appealed. They had 3 cases that said they were not resolved with a seller resolution, but she appealed that and won. But I think they're not, like, it's at 30-day mark. They're taking them off. So I think it's going to be not until they like totally approve it and take it off your account, which it puts you back up. They're not going to give you those promoted back until the system shows you're back above. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything that I have similar with in that it takes some time. Like everything eBay does just on that kind of stuff, it doesn't happen instantly. That's for sure. It could be as far as the next evaluation though, but I can't say from experience for sure.
Yep. I mean, I don't have any experience on that. Like you just have to be top rate. I mean, like that's number one for us. Yeah. Seller health is super. Even right now we're at like 0.2 late shipment. Like we fight it because it's not our fault. So I always try to do 100% on everything like that. Yeah.
And it's funny is because a lot of people think that fighting those little things is a waste of your time, but what happens? Something big happens to your account, and all those little things do add up, and people don't understand that because eBay works off a rolling 90 days.
Yeah.
So every 90 on the 20th of every month, they reevaluate your account. So you can actually see right now if you go into your seller dashboard, you can actually see what your potential next month's evaluation is already going to be right now based on where you are. So it's something that if you're dropping below there now, it's something you want to monitor very much because what can eventually happen is, not only you take away your promoted items, that you'll get charged higher fees in certain categories. Like for example, like just say you sell electronics and you get a lot of broken electronics or stuff like that, they'll charge you higher fees in that category. Yep. So there is a lot of other punishments in there that goes along with that. So it's very important that Ken said to increase take care of your account health because once you get down that rabbit hole, it's hard to come back out from.
I'm looking at mine and I have like 1-1. I wonder if I could contact them because what those ones are is my items that go by freight. So it's hand delivered. There's no tracking number for me to upload. I just mark it as shipped. But
when you do freight though, do you get some type of confirmation that was delivered? Don't you get paperwork or anything along those lines?
Yeah, but they're saying I didn't upload tracking.
Yeah.
And there's no tracking number for that. I guess I could try putting other in and put, U-ship or something like that.
Right.
And maybe
does the buyer have to like accept or mark or receive or something like that?
Not on eBay, not like the in person. They have to tell me for me to release the funds to the freight carrier, but nothing with eBay. I just mark it shipped and then they just leave feedback. So like when they do in person, they have where you can scan the code, but with UShip, they don't have that. And the crazy thing is it's all high dollar stuff that goes that way. Like the last one was $3,000 painting and there's nothing for them to confirm.
So see this, that someone just appealed it and they won, but it didn't go through to next evaluation. So, I mean, but that could really still help your account, especially if that was on the previous month or something like that, because there's a rolling 90 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a tough one.
865 Picker says, how are sellers making money selling books for $2 to $3 with free shipping? It drives me crazy.
Are we talking about Amazon here? I have no idea. I don't sell books, eBay or Amazon. I've seen it on Amazon, and I don't have the answer. And if anybody does, let me know because I have no clue.
Yeah,
same here.
No clue. Too. I mean, that's tough.
So
right, we're leaning on you now.
So what they're doing is they're shipping massive amounts of quantity, but they're actually making their own independent deals to the postal service, just like a lot of the big companies do.
Right.
But what they're working off is rule of averages. So because when people go in to buy those books, they're not just buying one; they're buying multiple at a time. Same thing with the DVDs, the VHS, the video game sellers out there. They're selling stuff super cheap. That's the only thing I could think of along those ways because. And I worked for companies before that would get a massive discount on shipping because they're shipping out so much items, and they're just working off the, rule of averages. So they're hoping that people are going to go in there. They're probably losing money or not making. I mean,
they're
probably
losing money on some.
Yeah, on some.
Everybody go in there and just buy one book.
Yeah,
more out of business. But yeah,
that's how it happens. Miss Patty says, when you add extra shipping insurance, do you use USPS or the other one, which I think is like a private insurance company that eBay offers to us?
I actually, if I'm going to add insurance, I use Pirate Ship. Then I will go to Pirate Ship and buy the label through them and add Pirate Ship's insurance. It's not everybody, each your own, I guess, but I've found that Pirate Ship's insurance is pretty good and they'll go to battle for you. So for me, if I'm going to add insurance, I'll drop, because I sell mainly on eBay. I'll just link my eBay account. I'll use pick it up in Pirate Ship from eBay and make the label there and add Pirate Ship's insurance. Yeah.
So for those that don't know,
I feel like they are really good.
For those that don't, you can actually import your eBay listings into Pirate Ship. That's what Jimmy's referring to and stuff. Yeah. So Jimmy, on that, are you using? So Pirate Ship has their own insurance company. They go through. Interesting.
It's like eBay's
they will go to battle for you. Like you can talk to the customer service rep and they'll help you and they'll talk you through and they will help you and they'll fight for you.
It's good.
And I think they'll even just cover it. Like they'll just be like, we got it from here. I've had that scenario where like, don't worry, we got it, and they took care of me, and then they took care of it from there. So
that's interesting. So for us, whenever I have like really expensive items, before I've always used UPS, just a UPS option, and I always just add a signature confirmation. A lot of times those would just cover you as far as it getting delivered. But also too recently with sneakers, most of the sneakers that are over $75 go to an authenticity guarantee, a warehouse. An AG warehouse, so most of the time, all the orders that goes to AG, eBay actually provides the label for us, which is using FedEx. So we use FedEx. So as soon as it hits the warehouse, we are off the hook. Anything after that, so it's kind of like a lot more streamlined. So especially like on the more expensive products that go through there, anything that over 75, I've sent $2,000 pair of shoes there. Which is kind of like a fingers crossed, really, because when it comes to like claiming stuff like that, like how can I prove that it's worth that much when it only retailed for $200? So then it gets really dicey and stuff like that. But fingers crossed, we haven't really lost anything significant.
So because you're using their FedEx label, All right, is eBay is providing the insurance for you then? So even
Yeah,
if you once it touches FedEx, then would eBay be responsible for the insurance on those?
yeah, pretty much up to that point. We have a discussion about like, what if you have, for peace of mind, we don't have an option to add it on our own. So
Yeah,
at some point there is some coverage on them, and more really most of it too is like after you drop it, eBay's gonna see that it's been scanned. So it's more of like also going back to account health, right? Like,
yeah,
okay, you didn't drop it off. No, like it's an eBay label. It's been scanned.
yeah.
At that point, it's kind of like, yeah, there's definitely a lot more kind of like responsibility that goes to them, and it happens in StockX and Goat as well because we use their label. So a lot of times those are covered on their own program on whatever they have kind of insurance, because we don't have options, because once they provide a label, you can't really add another extra label,
Right.
extra insurance on it.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, like eBay, if you're selling high-end watches, purses, shoes, I think they added some other
They
categories
added
too.
streetwear now too as
Streetwear
well.
too, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
eBay is going to authenticate those items and make sure they are real to cut down on fake. So you actually send it to, I think the shoes go to New York. I'm not sure where everything else is
They
going.
have 9 warehouses now.
Okay, now warehouses. Okay.
So it goes to the closest to the buyer.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know it was close to the buyer.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. So you send it there, and then eBay's going to send you a shipping label. So what he's saying is it's already covered. So which is good. That's good to know for everyone here. For me, every time I try to use the postal services, the third party option, it doesn't allow me to do it. So I don't know why, but for me, if I'm shipping anything expensive, usually I'm not going to go through United States Postal Service. I've had a lot of bad experiences with items get stuck. I had an Xbox get stuck with them for like 3 months. I got lost in track, and there's nothing that I could do in that. So for me, peace of mind, as Ken was saying, like UPS is anything I have to ship expensive. UPS, I feel like I have better customer service with them. I can be able to track a package better. I can get someone on the phone. They can figure out what happened to it, what's going on with it. And I had items that were damaged to UPS, and I have gotten my insurance claims covered by them. So for me, everything's going UPS, and then anything that's expensive is going to get a signature confirmation. And eBay requires anything over $750 that you have to have a signature confirmation. So just remember that as well.
Yeah, so I've had the opposite experience with UPS. I tried to get a refund. They completely damaged a $1,000 painting, returned it to me, didn't return it or didn't send it to the buyer because they destroyed it before it got there. So they brought it back to my house. It was never even brought to the buyer. And because I bought my shipping through eBay, they said that was a third party. I couldn't file a claim directly through them. I tried to file it through eBay. I could not. So I had a horrible experience with UPS and the one time that something was damaged. So it's not a regular thing, but the one time it was, I never got a resolution. So that was frustrating. But on the other hand, USPS is pretty impossible to get right there, to get damage claims approved. I add USPS insurance for one reason, and that is if they lose it. So like with Rod's PlayStation, if it had been 2 weeks, it was priority and you had insured it to $600, they would cut you a check. There are no questions asked when it's a lost package and they can't track it. So for me, go ahead.
No, I was saying so my situation, it was lost, but because it was stuck because it was during COVID time, it was stuck at a facility. But they said that because after 14 days, you can't file a lost package till after 14 days. After 14 days, I filed it. They still get 10 days.
For ground or first class, it's 30 days.
Yeah. Priority is that. And then they have 10-day they have like a 10-day policy that they can try to track it down. But I mean, at that point in time I wasn't able to get everything go through with them. So I just had really bad.
Yeah.
It's crazy with that right there, because they have a PS4 of mine right now, the post office, that they made me bring down because the shell got cracked on it in shipping. They've denied my appeals and everything, and they still have my PS4. I got to go down there and try to get it back because they keep denying. It was just the regular priority mail insurance, but they still have it. And since they keep denying my appeals, I got to go down there and try to get my PS4 back. Like, it is frustrating. It's not been the best.
Yeah. One of the things that we do with sneakers too, and this has been like tested and proven really, is we overnight it. If it's anything of like $5,000 enough value, we overnight it, and because it's air freight, it doesn't really get smashed with the other heavier ones. So I think if it's
Oh, that's
under
good.
10 pounds, anything under 10 pounds, my buddy shipped like $130,000 sneakers, overnight, and I was like, after that one, it's like, because I've always heard about overnight. It always gets there, and they, just like, because it gets sorted out too. When even when you drop it off, it gets sorted out to a different location. I think that's one of the things that I've learned and I've used. If it's something that's really valuable, overnight it.
Yeah,
Gino.
yeah. I haven't had any issues with USPS and lost though, Rod. I've got checks
Yeah.
cut like within a week of having lost, and it's only been like twice. Gino couldn't return, so he has to keep his wife.
I gotta ask Ken, $130,000 pair of shoes.
Yeah.
What kind of were they? What was so special about them?
It's Air Force One and Louis Vuitton collab with Off White.
I'm wearing those right now, actually. Let me
Yeah.
show you.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and it comes with a case. The case itself, people would buy
See,
for
I
60
would have
grand.
like overnight flown them myself and
Yeah,
handed
I
that-
would drove road
Yeah.
trip.
Yeah, that was the other options too. Like you just like my buddy like have flown for $60,000 pair. It's like at
Yeah.
that point, like a $600 airfare really doesn't really
Yeah.
matter. It's just
Right.
like
I
hand
would
deliver
fly.
it.
I would fly. Sharon wants to know if any of us use a tax ID at Goodwill for the tax exempt.
I have not. No, I have not done the paperwork to do all that.
Oh, you know how it's actually very easy for us in
Yeah.
Ohio, Jimmy.
I guess I need to figure. We've only been here a while. I need to figure that out.
Yeah, you just need. It's not like the tax ID for other states. We just
Yeah,
have
Colorado was a little bit of a pain.
we just have like a blank template that you just put your stuff there, and it's yeah. So
Okay.
like the loophole is because it's not electronically. It's not like you're in the file system like that. The store just needs copy, and they never report it. So I use it for like big buys, because like what our tax is like what six
Oh, yeah.
something 7%. So yeah, when I'm spending a lot, like I pull
What do
that sheet
I'm gonna
up.
have to talk to you after.
Yeah,
Oh,
you just
I gotta
yeah,
find
it's
that.
it's literally like it's like a blank template that you can print off.
Okay.
And yeah, like so because I learned it from my buddy. He just has like 10 of them in the car, and you just put your name and stuff like that. It's very like manual. So Ohio is
Alright,
a little
cool.
bit behind. So
Great
we're-
information. I'm glad.
yeah,
Yeah.
so we're
My
pretty
wife
good.
will be thrilled because she's been in Colorado. It was a pain. So
Yeah, and Cali too. I know that. And yeah, it's like so easy to open LLC and everything like that here in Ohio. That's the plus here.
Yeah, you can not only that. I mean, you can use that at Costco's, Sam's Club, anything that
Everywhere,
you
yeah.
buy in wholesale. So, I mean, if you are incorporated, get yourself. Once you have your tax ID number, you have to file, depending on your state, you just got to follow the proper paperwork. If you have an accountant, they'll do it for you. And then, when you go buy items to resell, not paying tax on them because the end buyer is going to pay those taxes.
Yeah. Miss Karen says if something happened that wiped out all of your inventory and you had to start over, what type of inventory would you get and how big would you want your store?
man, I mean, I would go right back to toys, preferably just all vintage Transformers if I could, if that's an option. No, I would go right back to toys. And as I would list and grow my store as big as I possibly can, like I would just keep sourcing and listing as fast and as much as possible. But toys is my main. I love selling toys. I love everything about collecting them and keeping them. So that would be the number one thing I would go for.
I would switch it up to car parts and accessories. eBay Motors is pretty big, so really giant category on eBay, and it is something that I think of. I don't know why I started in sneakers. It's just because I was excited at that during that time, but still, if a redo project, that would be one. Or like that's kind of like my retirement plan. I'll switch to car parts. Like I said, doing the dirty work. I mean, I guess it kind of like has the similar, thinking of like if it's vintage or if it's something that they don't produce anymore. it's it's so much higher. But what I've seen in car parts, because it's old and it's dirty, it's so much cheaper than what we buy it for if it was a sneaker, right? Because like an old sneaker right now actually still is expensive, but a car part that's old, and like the junkyard and stuff like that. I would like to grow it to $1 million store. My buddy has grown it to like a $500,000 store, and he's done it very and somewhat, not like, if I it would be harder to grow my store, but on car parts he was able to do it a lot faster.
Interesting. Yeah, I would say of all the eBay advertisements, eBay Motors is the only one I ever see.
Yes.
Right?
Well, you want to know why?
No, yeah, I actually would like to know why.
It's their focus category right now.
Oh, okay.
So, if you guys have seen, even in the last eBay Open, I know this for a fact because everybody hates on sneakers so much when they see sneakers, because everybody's like, "Oh, sneakers again." So eBay's marketing has done it differently. Instead of just broadcasting eBay as a platform, they're trying to broadcast it as a category. So eBay Motors is on the hot seat right now. That's why like they're tapping to every YouTubers,
Gotcha. Makes
everything
sense.
like that. Which is also the biggest driving force to eBay Motors. Is the biggest category on eBay. But yeah, so eventually, because I know before this they did the uh, pre-loved pre-loved category about upcycle and stuff like that, and they did refurbish electronics as well and sneakers. So yeah, from what it looks like, it seems to be very effective, because I mean even you notice it.
Yeah. I would say for me, so I think Kat may have had this thought too, because living in Florida, we have a lot of hurricane warnings that come through. And, there's times I thought about what would happen if a hurricane actually hit directly where I live and took out like my inventory, because I have my inventory in a couple of different locations. And part of me almost like wishes, like not anyone get hurt, but I was like, man, I would love to just have my inventory just go away. So just so I can start
Refresh.
fresh, because stuff I picked 2-3 years ago is stuff I would never pick now. And we all go through that. There's stuff gets hot, stuff that gets cold, stuff that you just grow and you move away from over time. But I would say I'd probably do the same. I would pick the same stuff I do now. I'm very eclectic of the amount of stuff I pick, but I like the pop culture stuff. Comic books, sports cards, video games, toys, vintage clothing. But at the same point in time, I think I would change my business model, and I would be doing a lot more stuff like buying massive collections, and then Whatnot and eBay just blowing it out. And I'd probably list items on eBay that were probably gonna be like $50 or more, and just blow everything else down on Whatnot. So that way I won't have a big warehouse full of merchandise like I do now. Going through this, I mean, I get anxiety just going in there and seeing what I have, because 10 by 25 is big, just jam packed, and I'm packing that thing to the ceiling, and it's overwhelming. So I think I would just change up my whole business model, not so much what I pick.
Yeah, so I mean, it's totally possible for it to happen to us here in Florida. Unfortunately, I do have insurance, so I would get money to start over and do whatever I wanted to. Idalia that just came through, we got lucky, took a little kick to the left, and we were originally forecast for a big hit last year that took out South Florida. So we've been, let me knock on wood, we've been very lucky.
Yeah.
I would not go back to plants. Plants is one of the first things I sold on eBay back in '99, and I did it again in the early 2000s. But I have gotten better about like sell-through rate, so I think I would just be a lot more careful about that. And I don't know. If you asked me this 2 weeks ago, my answer would be different than it is now, because I now have 3 new employees that are listing for me on eBay. So like we just bought over 2,000 designer boxes that sell anywhere from $20 up to $500 a piece. And I filled a house with them. So I have been saying I was shrinking my store, and now I've gotten 2 new employees that are absolutely amazing. They're listing 300 items a week, and the store is growing again. So, yeah.
Kat, do you think?
I don't know.
Would you go back to buying big auction lots though? Like how you?
Well,
that's
but
how
like this lot I just bought was a 26-foot truck full.
Wow.
So
I mean, that's a private collection, but I mean, like how you used to source online all
I
the
mean, I
time.
would do that if I could, honestly. Like I would do more. I haven't been as good at networking as I really should be, especially in my position. I don't think I've really like kind of used that and kind of built it like I should. I think I'm seeing a little more of the value now after buying this collection that I just bought. So I would probably work more on that and buying personal collections if I can. And I think I get bored. If I do one thing, I get bored and I quit. So I think I would still be doing exactly what I'm doing now and switching it up when I can find the big buy. So like you guys are getting ready to be so sick of hearing Hermes, Louis Vuitton, Chanel. You're gonna like wanna every time I do a big buy, this happens. It happened with license plates. It happened with Harley pens, and
I'll be
we just
watching
get
your store then.
Listen, it's funny because I just got a couple of Chanel earrings. And I'm like, oh, I
They're
have
all
a
back
box
there,
for
too.
that now. I can just go next door and get a box. And I just got a Tiffany & Co. ornament from an auction. Same thing. I'm like, oh, now I could say it's with a box.
So Kat, correct me if I'm wrong. You're doing a lot more eBay now than whatnot.
No. So eBay is starting to come back up. We're up 80% from last month because I got the 2 new employees. Whatnot has been down, but Whatnot is still beating eBay. So I'm still doing 5 to 6 shows on Whatnot a week, but our average is about half of what it was a month ago. So it's a lot lower. So we're like, I personally am putting more time into eBay now versus Whatnot a month ago because the averages are down.
So one of the things that I've noticed lately is there have been more opportunities to buy wholesale and everything like that with where the economy is at. So I think, kind of like just listening to what Rod is saying, like watching your ASP, right? Because at the end of the day, you got to value your time. But I think, a good combo would be like, if you have like certain items that are for us, because like for us, like clothing, it takes a long time to list. So those are Whatnot items for us. And then if sneakers, our rule is it has to be $35 profit before we touch it. So it's like over time, then you actually realize that, okay, you have a strict buy, but also to coming with bulk buys. I did a few bulk buys this year with a few of our friends that I've networked with. There you go, Cad. Um, and we were saying that we just need 3 bulk buys a year and we don't have to source. So I think that's one of the things that you have to think, right? Like eventually when you keep growing your store, it's not sustainable to pick it out yourself, right? But
I haven't been thrifting in over 3 months. So like while I don't do like the personal collections, I buy online estate auctions and I'll buy like 50 to 100 lots in one auction. And that'll last me like a month. So that one online buy that I might have spent 10 to 12 hours, the inventory for the whole month. For Whatnot or for eBay, same thing. So I like when I go thrifting, it's just for fun. I know I cannot sustain, like that is definitely not a way that I could, where I'm at, I can't find enough stuff.
Yeah, because the volume that you go through is hard to pick.
Yeah, like I said, they're listing 300 items a week right now. And the majority of those are, I would say, between $30 and $50. Some are higher. And if they're under, typically lately they have been quantity. So they might be $15 or $20, but we have 5 or 10 of them. So like the overall price of it for what we're listing is good. But we have like our thrifts here in North Florida. There's absolutely, there's not much. I'm not going to say there's nothing. There, you occasionally, a broken watch is right 2 times a day, right? Occasionally I could find something, but it is definitely not worth my time to try and sustain a business doing that. There's just no way.
So, Kat, you bought I sold you 100 designer boxes. Then you need another 5 designer boxes. So how do you like buying private collections compared to what you were previous doing? I mean, it's a lot easier, isn't it? Because you save a lot more time now. You have these things showing up. Like,
It is, but I mean, it's the same thing with anything. And I'm sure, like, when you buy those bulk collections, you're going to get stuff that is lower than what you want. You're going to get stuff that has defects. So, like, what I'm dealing with now is, like, what stuff do we either lot up, for one big sale, or do I just toss it? Because I have some that are just, I'm like, oh, because I got so much, I really don't have to have them to make profit. But
Right.
my bad thing is not tossing anything. So, like, Ken, when you do a big sneaker buy, is every single pair of shoes good, or what do you do with ones that are subpar to your
Yeah,
standard?
I mean, so there's two types. So when I do bulk buys, some of them are manifested. So those are very extremely, like, everything's got to be 100, because like price could fluctuate so much. So that one, like, I'm set, but obviously it's a lot less ROI because it's, now I'm competing with so many
You're
more
gonna pay
people,
up, right?
right? You're gonna have to pay up, right? So like a lot of the bulk buys is like maximum 30% ROI, and that's, laying out six figures at one time. So but the other ones is like when you do, like, obviously, like shelf pulls or like displays and try it on and stuff like that. What I've learned my lesson, because we bought like 6,000 units of like clothing pieces, and a lot of them were mixed Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, and there's like Hurley, O'Neill, Quicksilver. What I did wrong was I should have liquidated to break even on the lower end items like the Hurley, Under Armour, and stuff like that, because and just maximize my profit on Nike. What I did wrong was, like, I start selling Nike, North Face jackets, and Adidas, which was fun, right? You're making all your money up front. Next thing you know, I was stuck with all of this, like, bad items. So, like, and then, like, I storage all of that. I inventoried all that. What I could have done is I should have just counted them all up and be like, okay, this is how much I paid per item, break even on that, and then just focus on this thing, and then get onto the next buy. Because, one of the things that I didn't think about, like, wait, was I just not buying because I had storage inventory, but those storage inventory were not even better
Right.
than what I was selling. So now it's
Right.
like, yeah, you just gotta, even my buddy cut losses up front. Like, lose 10% on the junk, because you average it out per piece, but you already know you're like 10xing your money on some of the better pieces. So I mean, again, it's just processing faster, because, like, there's always gonna be the next opportunity, and if you don't liquidate fast enough, especially the junk, then you feel like you have a lot of inventory, but technically,
But
right,
it's
only
not worth
50.
stuff.
Yeah, it's not worth the time doing it anymore. So yeah, I'm going through the painful process of just like looking for bulk buyers on the whatever's left.
and just for everyone in the chat, just so you guys know, if you guys do get a good source, and it's one of those situations where don't go in there and just try to cherry pick everything, because that's how you ruin a relationship.
Yeah,
A lot of these sources want things moved, and you're going to what's Ken's talking about. You're taking the good with the bad.
yeah.
You're buying everything because you want to be that point of contact that they keep coming back to.
Mm-hmm.
Like just like Kat was just talking about, she has some boxes that are junk, but she took everything because it's about buying it all. You want that contact because it gets everything out there. You're the next person, that's going to the end user. So,
Yeah.
when you
No.
do have those, don't shoot yourself in the foot, especially people that are new making those contacts for the first
Yeah.
time.
100%.
Buy it all. Like you
Yeah.
said, clear out. You want to get 80-20 rule. You make, 80% of your money off 20% of the items, and the rest of the stuff you just blow out to
Yeah.
other resellers, selling a giant lot. Even if you lose money in those items, because you're making money on those items and you keep your money flowing and you're getting those contacts.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. That's actually my first pitch. My pitch is there anything that you don't want?
Yeah.
So I actually take their trash. I actually am like their cleanup crew pretty much, because the expensive ones, everybody's gonna look for it. So I always say, like, what are the unmanifested stuff, the junk and stuff like that you want to get rid of, because these people need storage in their warehouses too. They're just a bigger version of you. So
Yeah.
if somebody comes in and is like, hey Rod, let me clean up your warehouse and I'll take the junk, Rod would always say, like, yeah, sure, come over, right? Like,
Yep.
so, like, you have to have that mentality, because I've really opened up doors, because of that. I mean,
Me
first two
too.
buys that I did, just cleaning up junk, ended up, I was my mindset was like, break even mentality. And then next thing you know, he start adding good stuff in there. It's like, oh
Yeah.
man, like I gotta let you win sometimes. And then, those wins are just, home runs. So it's
That's
always,
yeah.
that's a real key. Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened to me and Kat, where Kat took all my boxes. I couldn't make money off those boxes,
Yeah.
but I didn't have the room for that. I got a bunch of other stuff that I was flipping. Kat took those boxes, making money off those boxes. That opened up the thing. Now I got to call back to go back again. And, that just, you build this relationship. So.
Wow.
Yeah, and like what Ken's moving though is his lower stuff is stuff that some of the people that are smaller are happy with a $15 ASP.
Yep.
So he can get it to other resellers that might not yet be on his level as far as what they're wanting for ASP. They might be at, $5, $10, so they'd be happy with 15.
Yep.
So, and like I do that with my stuff, you have to take it all. So I have one person I know, they cannot pick through the boxes. There's some good stuff that I do toss in there, and they take everything, they get it for free from me because I am just using it for that inventory. Yeah, it's definitely networking. I have not been the greatest at that, like a complete transparency. But I need to try and do better. That's why, like this last buy, there was a lot of household stuff. A lot of it I really wasn't overly interested in, but they wanted it all gone. So I took everything. It was all one price. It was a bulk buy. And I had my mother-in-law was there helping me. One of my viewers, she normally watches it after, Bridget, was there helping me. And so I let them take stuff. I'm like, yeah, take, you're helping me load, take whatever, take stuff. And then that way I'm kind of giving them a payment for helping, but out of the stuff that I'm already getting. So yeah, it is part of pivoting for sure. And that's the same thing with like me. Now I'm putting more time into eBay. Like you've got to adjust depending on what's going on. I can flip right back to more time on Whatnot, depending on which platform's performing the best, but I'm still maintaining the same amount of stuff that's going through there. We have 2 super stickers.
Ew.
Miss Val, Vineyard Edge. I believe she likes pillow fight, so I'll give you the pillow fight. Thank you so much, Miss Val. Here you go. For those of you that are going to be at Boss coming up this next week, Dalton will be at Boss with me. He is coming. So he and I will be in and out of Boss in Vegas. So if you haven't met Dalton yet, my daughter, who was the other half of that pillow fight, was with me in Phoenix. But this time Dalton is coming. So yeah. And Retro Rose sent a $5. I was talking to them at school. I'm like, this kid, like, cause he went with me in DC. We had a private consultation, and then now he's flying to Vegas, like all in the span of like 3 months as a 5-year-old. I'm like, he's going to be like, oh, I'm going to go fly. Bye. See you later. Like, goodness. All right, Miss Rose, I'm going to give you the original. This is the original super chat, guys. This super chat is over 3 years old. 3 years old here. Here you go.
Super chat.
The original. That is, Jimmy knows that one. That is the original super chat. And Miss Erin sent us a $5. Mark started a late fee. Erin's paying a late fee now. Rebel Junk, she is also over on Whatnot, guys. And I don't think she's made a video over here for a while, but she's been around since the beginning of my channel as well. So Miss Erin here, I'm going to give you a Dalton. Here you go. Gino made all of those. Gino's finds. He is in the chat. Gino made not the original, but the rest of them. The convention in Vegas is Boss Reseller Remix. I don't think they're sold out. It's in Las Vegas next.
Jimmy, are you going?
I'm not going to make it this year, but I was there last year. It's so much fun. The networking there is amazing. Like I had a blast.
It is. I'm trying to find it. Why
Ken,
can I
are
not?
you gonna be
Yeah.
there?
I'll be there.
Oh, are you speaking or are you just going?
I'm doing the charity auction.
Oh,
So,
nice.
that's actually a good call out. Everybody,
Yeah,
make
that's
sure you
cool.
bookmark that show for our whatnot charity auction. So we're gonna have some cool stuff there. So, let me see. Can I put that in the link?
Yeah.
Let me, if you
Uh,
type something, I'll give you moderator real quick. If you type,
Are
I'll
they
give you
having it at the
moderator.
Blind Center again? Is that the Blind
Yes,
Center again?
correct.
That's a nice venue. I really like that venue for that kind of.
So for those that don't know, the Boss Remix does it at the Blind Center in Las Vegas, and in the back they actually have an electronics department where they actually they have people that are blind that go in there and work, and they sell items on eBay, and they've sold like 80,000 items, like ridiculous numbers over there, and
Yep.
all the money they've invested back into the community, and they're actually building right now a center for the blind, I guess, a housing unit. I think it's like a $2 or $3 million housing unit down there. So it's a really cool. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely go to their website, check it out. The Blind Center in Las Vegas. You guys can always donate there, but it's really cool.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah, there. Ken put a link for you guys. Definitely check it out. And if you can't make it, if you want to do the live tickets, you'll be able to interact with the speakers and you'll be able to ask questions and watch it after the fact, like if you're working during the day. So Chance, you can watch it while live. You can interact. You'll see all the speakers. I have a code. It's the nurse. Teresa put it. It's the nurse. No flipper, just the nurse. And
They
you will
call
get
the
a
nurse.
discount, guys. Just the nurse. I am the nurse. You will get a discount on the live tickets. The virtual tickets is what I'm trying to say. So use code the nurse and you'll get a discount if you want to do a virtual if you can't go to it. That Teresa gave me that code. Teresa Cox did. So definitely thanks to her and Katie and Vicky. So you guys get a little bit of a discount on that one.
Yo,
for sure.
We're
And
auctioning something cool. We got something cool. It's a signed Back to the Future hoverboard by Michael J. Fox and
Oh, that's
Christopher
Really?
cool.
It's actually authenticated as well.
Really?
So
Yeah,
we're
that's
auctioning
awesome.
it
Are
off.
you the one that's going to be holding that up?
Yeah. So I'll be doing that. At least I'll get a photo with it, right? Because now
Yeah.
I can't buy it because I'm auctioning it. So
Well,
So
your
it's
wife
next
can buy it.
Monday to Thursday, guys. Monday to Thursday is when it is.
Yeah.
If you
Awesome.
want to watch it. And we're flying in Sunday. We'll be there Sunday to Friday.
Rob, we might have
This
to
is-
talk. You might have to bid it up for me.
Yeah,
or
bid it up
something
for
like
you?
that. Yeah, or buy it for me or
Buy it
something
for
like
you?
that.
All right.
Karen wants to know if your top platform shut down or kicked you off, what would you do?
Well, after the crying and the fit throwing and the, I don't know. I would have to scramble and try other platforms, but who knows? Maybe I'd rejoin the workforce. I don't know, because I'm still like just kind of like I'm more of a treasure hunter type. Like I'm pick and I find treasures. I don't do the bulk buys that some of you guys are doing. I haven't really done stuff like that. And I don't know that I ever will, just because I'm getting older now, and it's just I enjoy the treasure hunt more than the actual because what you guys are doing can be a lot of work. I know you guys see it on.
Yeah,
it can be
it's a lot of
ton
work. I
ton
mean,
stuff you guys are-
Yeah, it's
And I
fun to
don't-
say like I got a buck buy, but when you get home, it's
Yeah,
now
yeah.
you gotta take photo and list them all. Like,
and then having people work for you or whatever, that's a lot of work too. So like I'm just more of a treasure hunter, and so I'll continue to do that and try to flip it locally or whatnot or whatever. But I'm not prepared. Let's just say that.
that's a good question. I would be a YouTuber and sell something a little bit. I would go backwards, right? Because my YouTube's weak, my social media is decent, so I'll go backwards. I would go harder on making content, and because like right now it's like 90% business, 10% social media. I would flip it if it shut down. It's either that or work for eBay. I'd be like, I know your platform better than some of your employees. Let me in there.
So for me, I'd probably find the nearest corner in the 20s of 20. So I'll just do what you gotta do. No. So here, people don't know this. I was actually kicked off eBay. I was kicked off in eBay for 2 years.
Wow.
And yes, none people don't know this. So I can actually answer this question very well. The backstory was I was using a drop shipper, so I don't recommend doing it. They were doing customized T-shirts I was selling a ton of t-shirts to them, and during the holiday time, they were a very small mom and pop company, and I sold like 50, 60 shirts within a couple of days, and I would send them all the shipping labels, and they would just mail them out, and then they would charge me $10 a shirt, and I was selling them for $20+. So it's free money. You know, I didn't have to do anything, just send them shipping label. Well, what happened was they couldn't print the shirts fast enough. Christmas time, you know how angry people get at Christmas time. Those items aren't in the mail, getting shipped. 2-3 days go by, then they send me a message saying, "Hey, we're sold out of this one. Won't be printed next week." I would have to issue a refund. It just ruined as we talked earlier. It ruined my account health.
Yeah.
It killed my account health. Put me under 98%, and I got a bunch of negatives. Unfortunately, at that point in time, I couldn't recover from it, and I got kicked off eBay. I didn't take it that serious. I was like, "Oh, I'll get fined." And as a learning lesson, eBay actually reached out to me because I was doing 6 figures a year on eBay. And they actually reached back out to me and recruited me to come back. After we talked and everything, but yeah, I panicked. I didn't know what to do. I had a contract with Forever Collectibles, who does all the bobbleheads for like the NBA, Major League Baseball, items produced. I had a contract with Funko Pops. Funko at the time, they weren't doing Pops; they were doing the Wacky Wobblers. And I was getting in, I was doing a little wholesaling and also flipping other items. And I get stuck with over $20,000 of merchandise that ended up, it was on my credit card because that's where, I'll put on my credit card. That's what I pay the companies. And imagine sitting there getting a credit card bill in the mail and had no platform to sell. It was a horrible, horrible time.
Wow.
And I would say from that, I ended up having to start trying to sell. At that point in time, it was only Amazon, and I didn't really sell on Amazon. So I tried OfferUp. Well, it wasn't OfferUp. I was doing Craigslist, local sales, trying to pawn stuff off the network of other people at flea market. It was a tough time, man. So I highly don't that's why I stress your account health is so important. And it cost me tens of thousands of dollars. So it was definitely a learning experience. So I would say now, if that happened to me, I would use my network I have. I would wholesale to other resellers probably, because I do a lot of buying in bulk, and I am great at getting a lot of merchandise. And I would probably be a wholesaler to or I would just do everything on Whatnot. So, but it's definitely a learning experience. So if you want to learn about that experience, reach out to me because it sucked.
Yeah, so I've been kind of doing this back and forth the last 6 months. Right now, my main platform is still Whatnot. Whatnot is still outperforming eBay, so I would simply go back to full steam ahead on eBay. Was still cross-posting. Only one person knows this, Katie, and I think Jimmy and Ken heard me. I just shut down my eBay or Etsy shop tonight. Totally shut it down. I am over it at the moment. I can reopen it if I want, but as of right now, I have just completely turned off Etsy. I've been having issues, and the recourse on there is not very much. I can't block people. I can't report buyers. I can't. And I've had a lot of it, and I don't get many sales on Etsy, so I just shut the shop down. And yeah, so I would either, if it is Whatnot, I would go back to eBay. If it was eBay, I would hit Whatnot a little bit more. And also, we do okay on Mercari Posh. I might try and expand a little bit out to some of the other ones if I thought it would work. Like Grailed or Depop. For some of my hats, I do have some vintage hats and shirts, so I would explore those as well if I lost a main platform. Mike and Mitzi sent a $20 super chat and said, "Thank you, Rod and Kat, for being so helpful and positive. Appreciate you both so much, Mike and Mitzi. Thank you so much. I'm giving you Rod. I don't know if you want it, but I'm giving you Rod. Here you go."
Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Until next time.
There you go. Thank you to Gino. Gino made that one as well, guys. If you're not following Gino's finds, he is here on YouTube. He does thrifting videos. Definitely check him out. He is not far from me. Actually, Gino lives in the middle of me and Rod. He is smack dab in the middle of where Rod lives and where I live.
And those that don't know, that was actually my wrestling character. That first picture that he posted up there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually when I was wrestling. That's my guy. So
what's his name?
The Scoundrel Rod Grimes. I was a bad guy. I was a heel. So
the Scoundrel.
Rosie wants to know, how can you continue to make consistent sales when you're on a buying freeze? Can delisting and relisting help?
So this is like a self-enforced buying freeze
I
that we're
think it's
talking
a
about.
self-imposed timeout.
Yeah,
Yes, that's what
That we
it
all
is.
need.
Don't do that. So one of the tools that I use to help, I set up sales like in a step down system. So if something's been on my store for over 60 days, from 60 to 90 days, it goes on 20% off. From 90 to like 120 days, it goes on 20% off or 30% off or whatever. But I do like a step down. So it goes, sometimes it goes 10 and then 20% off. And then anything over 120 days, I put on 30% off just to try to keep that stuff from getting stale and sticking around for too long. So that always helps me. I mean, I reset that every month. And so I'm basically going back in and, filtering if it's over 30 days, 30 to 60 days, because you can set that parameter. That goes on 10, and then 60 to 90 goes on 20. I know I messed up my numbers, but you get the drift of it. And then and the other thing is seasonal stuff. I end and I sell. I don't end and relist. I send and I end and sell similar. Like, so right now I am ending and selling similar every month. For the last 2 months, I've been ending and selling similar my jackets. I've been my Halloween stuff, my Christmas stuff, my Thanksgiving stuff. This time, and then vice versa, come spring, I'll start doing hats and sandals and shoes and stuff. So I'm always doing stuff like that. So running sales, ending and selling similar on the stuff that's hot that season can always help. Man, I butchered a lot of those words. That was
No,
Words are tough.
no, you answered it
No,
really well.
you did good, man.
I actually was gonna say what Jim said because it's literally the same thing we do on the markdown. That's what we do on the markdown. After 90 days, everything goes like 30% off for us,
Yep.
and it just sits there until like I get really sick of looking at it, and then I go. I would say like when it's a year, I'm like, give me my money back, break even. That's my mentality. I mean, we don't try to keep anything over a year because again, the same thing because algorithm, eBay's gonna notice that photo being posted over and over again. And if you're actually using the same photo, those photo actually has the same. They actually tag the photo. So when even you're relisting and delisting, and if it's not performing well, it's gonna have the same result. So I would always say like and over time you get better. So it's okay to let go of that stuff even for break even because you didn't lose money. You know what not to buy.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of a reality check when you have stuff like on 30 to 50% off and it's not moving then. Like, it's
Yeah,
like, that's a reality check. Like, this isn't that desirable. And
yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean it's easy to blame eBay, right? But really, it's like you put it on eBay. It's your fault. It's not.
I would say I do the same thing those two do. I do use a discount system through my as my items up there longer. But I would say you don't have to be in a buying freeze to end items and sell similar or relist. I do that every single day. That's how I start off my day. I do that. My old inventory. I don't let anything go past 4 to 5 months in my store. So what I was told from eBay that after 90 days that listing comes flat, doesn't get picked up in the algorithm really, and that it's almost dead in the water. So that's why a lot of people do run sales in their old inventory to try to boost it up. But for me is if I have an item in my store that's just a regular item that's 4 or 5 months in there and it's not selling, it's either A, I overpriced it, B, it's not as desirable as I thought it was going to be, or there's something wrong with the listing. So by doing that, I'm able to check it. I always discount every time I relist it or sell similar, I'm going to lower the price on that item because that one is taking up inventory at this point in time for me. But also too, it gives me a reality check. Look at my store, look at items I have in my store. That's how I kind of reassess my business too, almost on a daily basis, just to kind of look for patterns and what's going on. But also if, for example, like if you're a one man or one woman show, and you're doing your listing, you're doing your sourcing, do everything, there's days that we run behind. Family gets in the way, your sourcing takes longer, you run into issues. So by starting your day, that gives you some type of activity in your store to kick things off. So I think it's really crucial for you, especially if you have a self-imposed buying freeze right now, because it sounds like you have too much inventory. So you need to get things moving. And by, ending and doing that, I would do that every single day. start off, get things going in there, get things flowing.
So I would ask why you're on a buying freeze, because typically if you're on a buying freeze in the reseller community, it's because you have too much inventory. So if that's the case, I would say you need to list what you have already bought and it's not listed. That would be number one. If you're on a buying freeze and you don't have inventory, I would think really, really hard, because you need to have that capital to be able to keep getting in new inventory. So the only time I'm going to be on a buying freeze is if right now I have a house full of stuff that's not listed. I am on a self-imposed buying freeze. So list the stuff that you have already bought. And if not, I do end and sell similar at 90 days. But now after hearing Ken say that, I'm using the same photo. So I wonder if it's, but it does help me. I do sell older stuff when I do that. I think some of it, I had never done it. So some of this stuff was listed for a long time. But I have started letting some things go that almost like Ken was saying, like the palette with the lower end clothes. I had the same thing with a QVC palettes that I bought, really popular, really good name brands. And I had stuff that sat here for years. And I finally said, I gave it away. I gave it away for free, pulled it, used that room.
Well, you just did that with your action figures.
Yeah.
Your action figures.
So you want to hear something crazy? So guys, I was a ding dong and bought a shelf full. If I were Jimmy, it would have been smart, but I am not Jimmy. So I bought a shelf full of McFarlane toys, right? But I don't know anything about them. So I had no clue what the heck I bought. And some of them were missing pieces. And I'm like, Rod, who is this guy? I had no clue. No clue. So they've been sitting here 2 years. I paid $500 for a whole shelf full. So I was talking with Rod, and I put them up on auction, 99 cents each. I think I had 20 lots. We broke them up into similar type action figures, and all of them sold, some of them high. And then 3 of them, they wanted to cancel right after the auction ended. Wow. And the crazy thing is, another buyer who is international is like, oh, if you can add in this and this and not put that I bought it. So I think they made a second name. They bid up and won those other 3 lots, and then they wanted me to add them to their order without them paying the import fees. So I said, no, all of my auctions sold. I actually relisted them, and I had no clue on the value. So what I did is what they went to at auction, I listed them at 125% of that price, and 2 of the 3 sold today. I just got a $93 payment on one. So I'm like, I know normally like my stuff goes more buy it now than auction. Priced them up. They sold 2 of them in 2 days, and by buyers who bought it. So yeah,
you're gonna get back most of your money now, and you're probably gonna get back most of your money too, aren't you?
I'm gonna get back probably $350 of $500, but I also have the space. You know, and I mean, lesson learned, Kat. Don't buy toys if you're not Jimmy.
That's what we call cost of doing business, though. It's cost of doing business. We all go through it.
Yeah. So,
as long as you learn something from it,
stuff. I want to give away stuff. Let's give it away. I had to go and double check. So Giaro Pack has my favorite polys back in stock, which is amazing because they had been sold out. So I'm happy because we sold them out. So we'll probably sell them out again. Hold on, I'm getting it. And we'll give away some tape again from Joel. And we'll keep answering questions while you guys are entering. So I am getting this ready. So let's do hashtag my go-to tape first. Thanks to Joel over at American Bubble Boy for giving it to us because you all demanded it. Not me, you did. All right, let's share it. Da, da, da. All right, hashtag my go-to tape. And so Ken, we're gonna hide you for a minute.
Sure.
Miss Vicky wants to know, how do I add shipping to an order? She picked local pickup and then asked me to add shipping. I asked her if we can cancel and do over, but the buyer does not want to cancel.
I don't know. Can you do that? Can you could you go on to Pirate Ship and ship it to them and then add tracking? I don't know if that's an option or not, though. I can't say for sure.
But then I don't think you could charge them. I think.
Oh yeah, you can.
I think you're still technically allowed to get it via PayPal.
Right. Yeah. So you would have to cover the shipping in that scenario. Yeah. I don't think you can. I don't because you can't. I know you can't request money through eBay for shipping. That's not possible. That's against their policies. So yeah, you would have to. Yeah, and I don't know if even like doing any of that behind the scenes stuff is gonna be. You're gonna be messing with eBay fees, right? Like because eBay takes fees on shipping too. So there's a lot of things that you have to be careful with there. You don't want to you don't want to end up like Rod, where you get a message, "Hey, you're done for a couple years, bud," or so I don't know. I think you might have to cancel and relist would be my guess because you don't mess with eBay's fees. That's rule number one. Whether we like it or not, you don't mess with that stuff. So.
Ken, any tips on that? Do you know anything different
From what?
The question
for
here.
Oh,
to add shipping to an order? Like she already paid and put local pickup, but then she changed her mind and wants shipping because there's no way to send a second invoice on eBay. I know with my freight, eBay, at least probably 2 years ago when I was doing a lot of furniture, they told me I could PayPal invoice the buyer and I wouldn't get in trouble because they had paid the eBay invoice. So do you know of any other way
Yeah.
they can collect shipping on that?
I would just cancel. I would ask the buyer to cancel.
Yeah, they said the buyer doesn't want to. So basically, if she does that, it sounds like she's going to lose the sale.
Yeah, that's a tough part. It's something that we actually talked to them about it, to send like additional shipping option and stuff like that. Because like, what if one scenario is like, what if they want it faster after they
Like
purchase
overnight,
it?
yeah.
Yeah. Now we have to go back and add it. We've talked about it in our seller week where we were there in the headquarters about offering something like that, especially during Q4, and it hasn't been added yet. I mean, which is like you would think it'd be something that's really necessary, right? Because next thing
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
like,
because I've had stuff like on the holidays, like Mother's
Yep.
Day, I had somebody buy something and then they decided they wanted it overnighted to make sure it'd get there in time. So yeah, it'd be nice to have an option to send additional invoice
Yeah.
for shipping overage, or if they wanted a signature.
edit a shipping preference or something like that while at the sale. I mean, at post sale.
Yeah, where it would
Definitely,
send them an
something that-
invoice for the amount due.
Yeah.
That makes me have a question for Ken. It's not the same topic, but it's a similar question. I just want to ask real quick, like with the shoe authentication and authentication stuff, my experience that took away the option for overnight. Have you found a way to deal with I had a person that wanted some shoes overnight and I had no options.
That is one thing that that there's no go around with it.
No
Hence
workaround.
the reason why Whatnot would be great for like sneakers option for holidays, because
Yeah,
eBay went authenticity guarantee. Now they work there. Now they are like StockX, Goat, and eBay, right? Like all the biggest sneaker platform have to go through a warehouse, so it definitely delays. But also too, eBay does it the fastest, which is the good thing. Out of StockX, Goat, and eBay gets it to the buyers faster.
Okay.
So that's the coolest thing because they've opened a lot more warehouses. I bought something yesterday from eBay, and then it already got authenticated today. And I'm assuming
Nice.
it's the closest to me. It should be there within two days. So it kind of like feels like instead of a priority, it's like ground service now. Instead of 2 to 3 days, we're thinking like 5 business days.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's cool.
All right,
Yeah,
I'm
I
going
had
to pick
that-
a winner.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Rod. You
No,
talk.
no,
I'll
pick
pick
a-
a winner.
I was just saying, can I had that same problem for my wedding? I got married earlier this year. We were wearing the pandas. That's what I wore, and then I had my stepson and the people in the wedding wore the pandas. And we decided to do it the last minute, and we tried to order the shoes, and we were trying to see how fast we can get them to us. But the guys had to go through the authentication process. Yeah, unfortunately, we got them in time, but it puts at a stress. But I would say to answer that last question, what you could do is just create another listing and let her know that, and then in the title put this is for that buyer only, let her rebuy the second listing, and then we'll say once you buy the second listing, you're automatically gonna have the item with shipping, and then I'm gonna refund that first listing. That's be the best way, because then she knows she automatically has it, but there's no way to add it. Unfortunately, the buyer messed up by picking the wrong shipping, so it's on the buyer. I mean, at this point.
Ashley, you won the tape. Congratulations. So Ashley, just email me, thenurseflipper@yahoo.com, and I'll give you a coupon code to enter you'll get 6 free rolls of my go-to tape, which is from American Bubble Boy. If you guys haven't tried it, it is a really great tape. It is all we use here, and we use a lot of tape. And if you use code The Nurse Flipper, you get 5% off the tape. You don't get a code off the bubble wrap because he's already got it as cheap as he can make it, but you will get 5% off tape. Giaro Pack, they are back. They are back. The Daisy Poly mailers are back in stock. They were sold out for a long time. They're back in stock. So hashtag Giaro Pack. You can pick whatever you want. So guys, if you win, you don't have to get the daisies. You can get white or blue or green or black or whatever you want. You get 1 free pack of any either bubble mailers or regular poly mailers, courtesy of Giaro Pack. They also give you guys 10% discount off of anything you buy from them with code The Nurse Flipper as well. So we go through thousands and thousands of poly mailers. We sell 600 items a week on Whatnot. So we use them a lot. I can definitely vouch for that.
PSA here. If you guys are entering over and over again.
One time, guys.
Yeah, it's only, if you enter 100 times, it's going to count for 1. So just save yourself the extra time and just enter once.
Oh, look, Sonia's here. She needs some
there's
poly
Sonia
mailers. Sonia!
There's the real
better than that
there's
Jimmy
the
guy, let
secret
me tell you.
weapon right there. Secret weapon right there.
All right, guys.
Get the hashtag in?
We'll answer another question and then we'll pick the winner. Miss Bonnie wants to know if you always check the sell-through rates before you purchase, and if so, what is a good sell-through rate? That is an excellent question.
It's actually a question.
Yeah, so I don't do
Jimmy,
math.
tell them what sell-through rate is first, in case some people don't know.
So I don't know the percentages because I suck at math. But so, for instance, if I'm looking up a action figure and if there's 2 listed and there's 15 have sold in the last 90 days, that means it's a good sell-through rate. Like there's only 2 listed and 15 have sold in the last 90 days. Yes, I'm buying that action figure and selling it. So yeah, I always check it. For me, it's the most important thing to check. I actually check it before I check the price. If I see good pricing, I'm still checking that first. Like I almost ignore that pricing until I check that. So yes, it's the most important thing to check. You can still buy stuff that has, because there's all different kinds of sell-through rate. There can be 500 listings and 500 sold. That's, I don't know what percentage is that. I don't know.
2 of 15, that's like a 700% sell-through
Yeah, so
rate.
that's great. So 100% would be 50 and 50, right? So like,
Right.
That's still good. But let's say it's 1,000 and and then there's only 200 sold. Then you're starting to get into areas where you're just waiting in line, and you might never get on that roller coaster. We've all been there. So I mean, it's very, very important. Like, just make sure you're doing it.
So Jimmy, what is your percentage that you like to go off of? 50%, 100%?
I mean, I like it higher than 100%, but I will still buy. As you start doing a lot of that, and you start looking at that kind of stuff up, you get an idea of stuff that there might be a lot of it, but it sells. Like Wii Sports Resort. That game, there's thousands listed, thousands sold. It's going to sell. It's just a matter of time, right? So like that, that's something that's probably below 100, but you'll get your turn. It will sell, right? So it all depends on the item, but I like to have it right around the 100%, and all depending on that factor right there. And then there's stuff like, there's like in vintage t-shirts, you're competing with all vintage t-shirts for the most part. You're not just competing with the one that you got. Like, you're competing when someone's shopping for vintage t-shirts, they might just be typing in vintage concert t-shirt. So that changes that. you might have found a t-shirt that, hey, there's only 5 of this one listed, but unless they're typing in that specific t-shirt, you're getting mixed in with all the vintage t-shirts. So that's another thing to consider too.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. What about you, Ken?
I always go. I mean, the least is to give you guys an example would be like 50 listed and 150. Oh, 150 listed and 50 sold. So a third, in a way, that would be the least I would try to get in. But our rule is we try to turn over our listed inventory twice a year. So I would try to, like if all my items sold, I like to get all my stores sold within 6 months. So kind of like that way I could predict my income for the year. So if I list 100,000 and if I flip it twice, my revenue would be 200,000 for the year. So that's kind of like our rule of thumb.
Yeah, I would say for me, and this is the biggest thing that brand new sellers had the hardest time with, because we've all been there where you pull up an item and you see one sold for $100, and then you look at there's like 50 other listed, but that one sold for $100. So like, they get so infatuated with that $100 sale that they ended up, buying it, and then they're stuck with it, because maybe that one person just needed it for emergency. They just wanted the item right now. So unfortunately, it was the biggest mistake new sellers make. For me, I prefer anything 100% or more. If there's one listed, that means anytime one listed, one's going to be sold. That 100% sell-through rate's great. I would say as someone new starting out, so you don't get stuck with a lot of inventory, I wouldn't do anything less than 50%. Someone who's brand new starting out. And the reason for that is because you want to be very picky in the beginning, because what you pick now, it's going to be completely different 6 months or a year down the line. So that's a good rule of thumb, I say, for a lot of people that are new to this or just learning about the sell-through rate. But, sell-through rate is very crucial. Now, when you're buying big collections or buying lots, the sell-through rate kind of goes out the window. That's where you just focus on the high-end items, how fast you get your money back. That I mentioned the 80-20 rule. I want to get, 20% of the items, I get, 80% of my money, real fast. It's a big turnaround there. With that. So it just kind of bends on the situation. But if you're doing one-off items, like Kat's sell-through rate's going to go out the window because she buys a lot of antiques or older items. When Jimmy's talking about vintage T-shirts, you may have a Metallica shirt that no one else has, but you may sit on that shirt, and this is what we call long tail items because of high-end collectibles. Like I sold a comic book over the weekend for $900, but I sat on that and spent in my store for a year because I was one of the few people that had it. So certain items like that are going to be outliners in the entire situation, but you just, focus on the sell-through rate and you'll be okay.
Yeah, so I have started paying a lot more attention to the sell-through. But as Rod said, I do a lot of estate lots, so I don't have control over a lot of the items. Yeah. So the main items I'm buying it for are going to have a great sell-through. What I need to do, and I actually talked to Ken about this in Phoenix, is let that lower stuff go, either in a lot or maybe on whatnot. But I have been paying more attention to the sell-through of the general consensus. So like all of these thousands of boxes I just got, all of them have 50% or higher sell-through. It is an amazing one, but it's probably going to go down because I'm going to flood the market, and I'm okay with that. But right now, and some of them are 100% sell-through rate. So I know like those boxes were a good buy. I want 50% or higher is kind of the bottom line. And I just need to teach myself to let that lower 80% of stuff go either in bulk, sales or on whatnot or somehow, rather than thinking I need to list every single thing, which is what I've been doing for a long time. Especially, I do think about it a lot more now that I'm paying people to list. Those lower profit items aren't as appealing anymore.
Yeah. No,
that's
so
payroll. No. And
an important asterisk. Sorry.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
No, just an important asterisk to that is holiday stuff. Because if you look back at your 90 days on like holiday stuff, while it does sell in the summer, 90 days ago was July.
Yeah.
So that's the only time where you got to be careful when you're
seasonality.
looking at, like,
seasonality. Good point.
Is if you're shopping, if you're looking at Christmas stuff right now, and you're looking at
It's
the
going
last
to be
90
a lot
days,
higher right now than it
it's
was
gonna
3
go
months
up
ago.
coming soon. Yeah. So sorry, I just wanted to throw that. Like that's
Yeah, no, that's a good point, man.
True.
Yeah,
Good
that's
point.
for sure. All right, let's pick 2 winners. We have 151 entries, and then I'm going to put the instructions for this into the chat. So winner number 1, and you get to pick whatever you want from there. You go to their website, you pick what you want, and then you tell me. The Texas Lady is winner number 1, and we're going to pick another one. So Texas Lady, I'm going to put instructions here in about 2 seconds after we pick our second winner. Polly dinner, don't eat them. Karen Pickram, you are the second winner. So I am now putting those instructions in the chat for you guys. Thank you to Giaro Pack for giving it. They give us 2 giveaways every single show, guys.
Wow,
and they
that's
ship
awesome.
it to you free, and you pick whatever you want. They are absolutely amazing. So let's go back to our questions. Miss Linda says, I'm a year into eBay selling. It's very slow. I have the opportunity to sell a 1970s actress collectibles. Some are worth $1,000 up to $25,000. I can't buy them and then resell them. So she's saying consignment. So she can't buy them outright. So consignment, like, do you have any advice, or what fee would you charge for doing this?
I just be careful. I mean, it's consignment's a whole nother game, and I don't have a lot of advice on that. It's not something I do a lot of. I don't know what a standard fee is. Maybe you guys have a better idea. I just know be careful. There's a lot of not just money changing, the tax stuff, everything behind it is all different. So make sure you do your homework.
Yeah, I have accepted consignments, but only items over $300, and I charge 20%. So that way, 60 bucks. That's after eBay fees. So 20% on the net, whether it's promoted and everything like that. So so what you take out after eBay, I charge 20%. So that's the only time.
Can I ask, because there's possibilities of returns and stuff, like how do you handle that? Just out of curiosity.
So right, because I pay out 30 days post sale.
Okay.
If it's a return, then there's no payout. So it has to be.
And are
listed
you
again.
taking the item, you're photographing, you're listing,
Yes,
you're shipping?
Yes.
And
It
is
has
there
to
a
be-
minimum dollar amount?
Yeah, to 300. Yeah, it has to be
Okay.
under my my because I handle and fulfill everything, right? So it has to be my photos and everything, because it has to pass, because I want to physically check it too, because like, even because just like a strict rule that I put in, because friends could be like, okay, I'll do that, next thing you know, accidentally they wore it, more than what they described it for, or they
Right.
unboxed it, right? They broke the seal. At that point, like, my account is on a pickle now.
Yeah.
So I would never do that.
You have to have it in your hands.
I'm actually surprised you only do 20%. I thought your percentage would be a
I
lot
think
higher.
that's low. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think you're very
but
low.
that's a higher end. We're at like $60 off of a $300 item. That's pretty big already. But what my thing is, I get the market. Get the market price. So because there are other avenues that they can liquidate it, because they can sell it on StockX and Gold for 20 to 30% under market automatically, and that's pretty much almost the same thing as selling it to me, because I buy 30% under market any time of the day. So if they want more, then they would consign it.
And you're also, and I didn't take the factor in that the type of product that you're taking in fast selling shoes, something that has a big market, something that's probably going to move pretty fast.
Yes.
I don't know. Did you meet Dana when you were at List Perfectly in Arizona with us, Ken?
She works for List Perfectly.
Yeah.
Dana Crawford, yeah.
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 So a big part of her business is she actually takes some consignments, and her general rule is it has
She's
to be
a consignment mom.
Yeah, consignment mom. Yeah, so her rule is has to be $400 or more. She takes 50% after fees.
Wow.
But she's dealing with a lot of one-off items too, where you're dealing with the items of high demand. So you can take a lower percentage because you know you're going to move. That's free money in your pocket.
Yeah, like storage wouldn't be an issue, right?
Yeah,
Like, most of the time would sell in 3 to 6 months, And then after that, really like what I'm on constant communication with the seller, right? Like, okay, it hasn't sold in 30 days. Should we bring it down? And this, and then and at the end of the day, it's like, what's your bottom, right? What's your
Yeah.
bottom? And usually that's kind of like how I started, right? Because like a lot of because non-resellers don't really understand market, right? Like, there's people it's like, okay, I want $500 on this, and like
Yeah.
it's worth 800. It's like, okay, I'll take it, right? So
Yeah.
that's the other half
I'll
of
just
it.
buy them now.
Yeah.
Like it's like buying it, right?
Yeah.
Technically, right? But there's no capital outlay on my end, because like buying 10 of them with like $5,000, it's like it's a lot. So I kind of like, besides the 20% rule, it's more of like, after that, like, well, tell me your bottom. And then once they say their bottom, it's like, wait, that's way more than 20%. So I'm not charging you 20% at that point. So
Yeah.
I would get to know their products first
Gotcha.
before you
Makes
would give
sense.
the rate, right? Because like next thing you know, like again, it's different from every people. So like somebody's like, okay, I want 1,000 for this $800 shoes. Like, I can't do that, right? Like
Yeah.
market's not the same. But some people are expecting way lower than what you think, right? Because maybe they're looking at comps at a different website, or they've bought it and they've been told that it's worth this much.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I've like
Yeah.
probably this month I've made a lot of money just because of that. It's like, and also too with sneakers, I can predict on how they could go up. If
Yeah.
they go up in value and they said like I just want 300, I would just like set it at like
So you're
450.
speculating.
Yeah,
You're
so
speculating.
it's
Yeah.
kind of like stock market kind of game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's what I do. That's what I do with my graded comic books and stuff like that.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Now to go back to Linda's question here, so you got to be very careful, especially your account's only 1 year old.
that's
You
true.
may get flagged if you put items that are going to be thousands of dollars in your account, because that's not normal for your account. It's going to throw a red flag on eBay, and that's something you want to be very careful with. Secondly, too, is you're taking in these items that are actresses collectibles. Do you have, what type of authentication do you have with these? What type of, proof do you have with these? Those are things that are going to be factored in, because like Ken was talking about, your account is on the line when you are taking in stuff on consignment. And, you need to have these items, in your possession. I feel like instead of having someone else have them and then shipping them out, I would say sometimes the best deals in reselling, and timing is everything, but sometimes the best deal is to walk away from a deal. And just based on being brand new, being in this, I don't know who the actress is, if it's someone very famous, not famous, just be very careful with that, because you may get yourself in over your head on that. And, you may cause more harm than good. And, seeing items that are $25,000, how do you know the item's $25,000? If it's a one-off item, some of them are very hard to put. Are you getting these items appraised? It's just what you're being told. So I've dealt with a lot of high-end collectibles. I've dealt with major auction houses. If you're having items that are $25,000, you probably not want to put that on eBay, because you don't want to go through UPS. You don't want to go through the shipping. You don't want to be responsible for those. If you have items that are worth that much and having a named actress behind there, that's something you want to contact, like Heritage Auction House, Golden Auction House,
Yep.
and reach out to them, because what's going to happen is they would ship those items there to them. They will authenticate them. Like Golden Auction House will authenticate those. They'll take old pictures from the show, try to see little flaws in the items that match up with that, so they can try to photo match it. Once they do that, then they can prove that it is authenticated, and they'll put it in their auctions, and they have high-end clientele that they're dealing with directly.
Yep.
So I would say this may be out of your realm, and this is nothing against you or anything like that, but just be very careful with this deal. There's just a lot of red flags for me.
Yeah.
So I've only done it like a couple of times. It's not something I want to really add to my business. I've done it for friends, and I did 50-50 split after all fees. So promoted fees, everything. And I also took out if I paid my listers to list it, if it wasn't me doing it, then I took out that fee as well before we split everything. Some people are happy with whatever they get, but you got to be careful, because if they think it's worth, let's say they think it's worth 25 grand, but it's really only going to be worth 10. Are they going to get mad at you for selling it? That's like Ken saying he's getting to know the customers, because you need to know, are they going to be happy with whatever you can get, or are they expecting that 25,000 when reality is the market's not going to give you 25,000.
Yep.
So be very careful, because they might get mad. I'd also drop a contract.
I was about to say
well.
that.
Have everything in writing.
I was just because you're doing that big money, you need to put everything in writing.
One of the hardest things consigners have to do is tell people that their stuff isn't worth as much as they think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's not easy to do.
You got to be really careful with that. Randomly Beautiful Collectibles wants to know, when do you leave your customers feedback, and have you ever had to leave negative feedback on a buyer? So you cannot leave negative feedback on a buyer. None of the platforms allow it anymore. In the good old days, back in the 90s, we could, but we cannot do that anymore. So nobody can do that. So when do you leave customers feedback, Jimmy?
When do I leave customers feedback? It's automatic. It's automatically set up. With the store, it's automatically set up. I just leave. It's a good way to build up your feedback. When they see that you left them feedback, they're more likely to leave you feedback. So it's just automatically done. It's not something I worry about a lot manually. I just know it's happening, and it definitely reflects my feedback score too. So I recommend doing it that way. It's to each their own. I mean, us plus the volume, like Kat, she couldn't sit there and manually leave feedback out every single feedback. And I'm close to that too, to where it would take up way too much of my time. Sounds awful, but it's true.
Yeah, I'm on automatic feedback as well.
Yep.
Time is money. Automatic feedback, reduce the amount of time you're spending on things that don't make you money.
Yeah, I'm on automatic feedback as well. I do not have time to do all that. Jimmy, can you tell Miss Catherine how to end a listing and relist it?
I mean, I just, because I want to actually look into the item and maybe change some things. So I will I just do 10 at a time. I manually do 10 at a time. I just open them up. This is how I do it. I open up all new tabs. So I'll end 10 listings, and then I'll relist the tab in a new tab. So I'll open in a new tab. And so then I have 10 tabs across the top of my screen. And I just go through each one because it does help to change some stuff up in there. Like maybe change the title or change the price or whatever, change the description, just make some kind of change to it before you relist it. So that's how I do it. But it's as simple as going there and ending your item. There's no penalty or anything anymore. You can end and relist. The only penalty is it takes away from one of your, if you have a store or if you have the free 250, it does take one of those from you.
Allocation, the listing allocation.
Yeah. So that it's really that simple though. And so, but you can also do it in bulk. You can end 100 listings and then bulk relist them and just do it in bulk and literally just push one button and they're all relisted. So it's pretty simple.
That's what we do. Same thing.
Yeah.
Perfect. Resale Bloom wants to know who we go through to get an LLC. Curious on how to start one. I want to first say every single state is very, very different on this. So I don't know that us answering is going to help. My accountant helped me do mine because he was who recommended we get an LLC. So I know like California is extremely hard and extremely expensive to get an LLC in, just from people in chat telling us. So I would Google for your state or go to an accountant and ask them perhaps. Most, like Ken was saying earlier, Ohio is really easy to do online. Florida was not very hard, but we do have to do like articles of the LLC and it has to be renewed every year. My accountant does it for me. So yeah, I would look for your state.
The best advice I can get is when you do Google, don't go to the ads. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to try to charge you $200, and all they're looking to do is file the paperwork for you that you can easily do on your own. So be careful. That's the thing to be careful of, is these third-party companies they're not the ones that they will do the paperwork for you, and they're going to charge you a lot of money to do it when you don't need to use them. And now, what Kat's saying is true, but there's going to be a ton of, like, when you Google, you'll see ad. Try to avoid those ones. That's all I'm saying is, like, try to avoid. Yeah,
look at the Cali people in the chat. If you're in Cali, get an accountant. Cali is now $800 for an LLC.
Wow.
Right.
Guys, Cali's a whole different world. I learned that through the chat, so be careful. Retro Rose. So hopefully you're not in Cali. Retro Rose says, I've had 2 incidents when selling lots. Buyers say there is a missing item, but I know it was complete. How do you prove the lot was incomplete? And she wants to know if other sellers have this happen. So if you're in the chat, let her know if you've had it happen, and we will answer as well.
Yeah, that's a tough. I mean, lots of things can happen in shipping, right? I mean, that's the only thing that you really can't prove is if something happened in shipping or not. Take good pictures. If you do big lots, make sure you take good pictures. And when you pack it, don't just throw it in a box. Put everything in bags. Make sure it's sealed up. Poly wrap it. Whatever you got to do to make sure none of those little pieces are falling out. But I mean, it's gonna be tough to prove that nothing's missing. Pictures is the best way beforehand. And like I said, for you to be able to send a message comfortably saying, "Hey, look, I put all the items in a bag. It was sealed. I poly wrapped it and taped it to where nothing could fall out of that bag." To give yourself those defenses is the best thing you can do. So proactively doing stuff like that.
I don't
Yeah,
sell.
we should buy the evidence bag tape.
So,
Yeah.
hi, I'll take it then.
Yeah, I don't sell lots, so.
So and this is nothing against you. When I see that you said 2 instances in there, makes me that's not a one-off, and makes me think that this is happening multiple times. That may be something that you're doing with your shipping. That they just could have what Jimmy was talking about there, or it just could be maybe you're just being targeted. Depending on what your feedback is on eBay, people will target people to try to get a discounted item, say the items were missed. I have gone through that myself personally. I don't give any partial refunds. I tell them to mail me back the entire lot. And I can't tell you how many times those lots have never shown back up, and that our communication has ended right there. And they decided to keep the items because they did receive what they did receive. Now, I'm not saying that's the situation here,
yeah.
but unfortunately that does happen. So that's why I don't do partial refunds. I don't recommend people doing partial refunds. I would rather take a loss in the item and get that item back just to protect myself. And because the buyer has to go through extra steps sometimes, it just goes away by itself as a problem. But I would say because you had 2 instances where it happened, you may just want to reevaluate, either your pictures or your shipping, just to make sure that you're not doing something wrong on your side. That maybe you think you're packing it well. And there's a rule of thumb in reselling: as well as we think we package stuff, you could always package it better, and that goes across the board with anything there. So, not knowing any other situation, that'd be my recommendation there.
Guys, we bubble wrap empty boxes to put them in other boxes.
Yes.
Okay? I haven't sold lots until this last week, and they're all in the mail. So I hope this doesn't happen to me. But I don't sell very many lots at all. And the only time I did was these McFarlane toys. So hopefully this does not happen. I hope.
Yeah.
Streaming Sisters. I hope not. Listen. They want to know, how do you find someone to take pictures of your items and or draft for you?
Be married to them for 20 years and then ask them nicely. That's how I did. No, I'm Sonia and I do all of our pictures and everything, so I haven't had to try to find somebody. So for me, it's just all done through us. So that's my answer. That's her right there.
That is a good tip. So find the love of your wife that loves to take photos. Same here. I think we've collectively sold 30,000 items in all platforms. Wow. Before we found help, which is really hard to do because it's not the way you do it. So it's either I have found us is kind of just like finding high schoolers that we know, or the parents that they know, because it's in a way like you're kind of like investing in them and helping them. That way it's not annoying. But it would drive me crazy to hire an adult that keeps making the same mistakes again. That's and it's like, and they're getting paid, right? So it's like, at least they're kids. I always they're still learning. So that kind of keeps me sane. But also too, they're not gonna do it as good as you, because they won't care as much as you. So that is the reason why we haven't really had a full-time person on board like that. Our goal is to just, raise our ASP higher and higher. That way we'll just manage less items and, have a more higher revenue. So that's kind of like my answer to that.
Yeah, I was gonna say is your spouse or your children. Kevin Kamala Picker has a whole, he's running a whole sweatshop up there with all his kids of their workings. But no, all kidding aside, I was just saying it's hard. The younger the better. I would say just for the fact that it's very tedious work, and I can see people getting very bored with it. So either find someone who needs part-time work that's either retired or someone who's eager to just join the workforce, such as a high school kid or someone who just needs money on the side. It'd be good if you get them to come in maybe just a few times a week and just have them batch your items. So, get everything laid out for them so they can just take all the pictures, make it very simplistic for them so that, so you can try to reduce those errors as fast as possible. But it's tough, man. It's tough to find someone good that wants to work. And also, as Ken said, it's hard to find someone to do as good as you. So you have to, there's a give and take on that. And Kat will answer this question 10 times better because she has gone through about an entire football team worth of people in the last year.
I want to ask Kat because also the trust factor. These people are on your property, in your store and in your house. So that's a big part of it too. And I wanted to make sure if you could address that too.
Yeah, so I had a full-time assistant up until April or May, and then I lost her, and it took from May until the end of September to find somebody. So for 4.5 months, I had nobody. It is not easy. My daughter was the first one doing it for me, but now she prefers Whatnot. So she's my Whatnot help. She jumped the eBay ship as soon as she saw Whatnot. She likes Whatnot better. And then I had family at first. My mom did. My niece still does occasionally. So family, I would hope you could trust family if family's in your house. So the 2 employees we have now for eBay, I have 6 or 7 employees, but the 2 eBay employees that I have, they are both just listing and drafting. One of them is a high school student. So I called the high school and I talked with, here it's called CDE. I talked with the instructor who runs the after school work program, or the kids that have enough credits, which means they have excelled at school and can take off half a day and still be able to graduate. And it took 6 months after I called her for one person to say, hi. And so that's how we found one of them. She is like, I have to fill out her paperwork for school and everything. She's really fast. She's go, go, go. This is a funny thing with the different ages. And so I do have to correct, but I also at Walmart ran into somebody I worked with 20 years ago. We were just chatting. What are you doing now? Da, 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 da. And I told her what I'm doing. I'm like, yeah, I need help. I lost my assistant. And she's like, oh, well, they're cutting my hours at work. I could use something. So I worked with her for years, 20 years ago. I got lucky. They both live like less than 5 minutes from my house. And before that was the problem. I'm very rural and everybody was super far from me. So it was a big commute. So now both my employees live within 5 minutes of me. And so I know them. Jimmy, I totally get, like, because all of our inventory is here. And I mean, we have $250,000 in inventory. So you have to be able to trust them. I haven't really hired somebody that didn't, like, the one came from the school, and then the other one I've known, we didn't talk for a long time, but we've known. But now the crazy thing is I went from having nobody to now, like, my high school student has a friend who wants a job that she talked about her job here. So now her friend wants to work for me. And the one I used to work with also has a friend. So I I'm full. I'm full because I have my mom cross post. My daughter does Whatnot. My husband's aunt does Whatnot. We have somebody that comes and helps clean and organize. Like, we have 7 people on payroll. And that's a lot. Like, if you want stress, forget overhead of a storage unit, hire somebody. Yeah. So I would say be very, very ready, because somebody else is going to depend on you, not just you. And that's a very, very serious thing to it's a very heavy burden, is all I'll
And
say.
I was gonna say too is if you are incorporated as a business, if you have any local colleges by you, you can actually reach out to the college for a paid internship. That would probably work out pretty well for you because they're getting credit for that. So it's something they need to complete, but they also make money,
And they do job fairs at the colleges too, so you could definitely do that. I'm not. We have listen. It was crazy. We unloaded that truck yesterday, which is over 2,000 boxes. My husband's 2 friends came. I had all 3 eBay employees, me and my daughter. There were 7 of us, and we had a production line from the U-Haul truck into the house. And I'm like, okay, Louis Vuitton goes here, Hermes goes there, Louboutin goes there. We're pointing. It was crazy yesterday. It was wild. It was so wild. But yeah, so now I actually have people working for me that like it and they're telling their friends. So if I am ready to expand at any point, now I can get referrals from, them who I know. I see their work ethic. I see how they're working, and I would feel more comfortable with their friend than reaching out to a stranger.
That means you're a good boss. That means you're a good boss. Because
I'm glad to hear that. What I do, and I do want to tell you guys if you do it, because I'm real bad about wanting to criticize, because I know it's hard for a lot of people, is I leave the drafts in the drafts if I have an issue with it, regardless of if it's a photograph, if it's part of the description, and then I pull up the drafts and show them the next day. Hey, we need to fix this, this, and this before I can make this draft live. So that way I make myself, basically I'm reviewing their drafts if they have an issue every day. And we're just it's automatic. And that way I'm not letting them keep going and then getting mad because they're doing something I'm not even telling. They don't even know they're doing, and making sure that I keep the communication going for that.
Also too, I think the most important thing, and I think Ken and Kat will say this too, is you have to set the proper expectations right from the get-go with anybody that comes in there. Because if you don't, Kat's had that problem before. Things kind of get out of whack a little bit and stuff like that, where people are kind of taking advantage of the situation, and not because there wasn't ground rules put in place. And that's very crucial, especially if you're running a business, and especially you have these people come in, and you need to set the proper expectations and have, not say consequences, but be able to give constructive criticism along the way right off the bat, so that you are getting things done the way you want to do.
So Patty, the rental's less than 10 feet from my house, and my house is in the middle of nowhere. If you come any direction towards it, we would know. I have 11 acres, so it's the rental's less than 10 feet from my house. So
they'll get lost before they get
shot.
They'll run into a gator.
Wandering around. All right. Apple Saucy is asking me, when I do estate buyouts, have I thought about doing videos of unboxing, essentially discovering all the items with you? I have done them in the past, but I haven't done an estate buyout in a long time. The way I've been purchasing are estate lots on online auctions, so I know what I'm getting. The unboxing for me wasn't overly popular. It did okay. I could think about it. With jewelry, it's kind of redundant. I learned that people got bored and quit watching. And linens would probably be the same way, which are the 2 main things I'm buying for Whatnot right now. So if I did an actual estate buyout, I would. And I am going to do one with all of these boxes, but I bet money 99% of you are going to be so bored. You're going to be like, what the heck is this? Because it is literally all boxes. I did get some household stuff. Maybe I could dig through that to add on the video, actually, now that I think about it, to show you a few other things that I got. But it's not different enough to make it interesting, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's a lot of one type of item, so it's kind of boring. Diggs, bottom drawer treasures, I like your name, says, I have been trying to build a following on Whatnot. It is definitely a slow process, but I've been able to move some stuff from my death pile. It's a great platform to help move inventory. Yeah, there's not really a question here, but it does take time, guys. Anything worth doing is going to take time to build up, no matter what it is and no matter who you are. It's all going to take time to get it done. T Peddler says, could we address all of the reseller events? I've been to a few, but it's hard to compare to evaluate which might benefit me the most. And she's saying YouTubers probably attend the events more. So maybe say the events you went to and kind of what it's like.
Okay. I've been to the reseller rally. I've been to the Boss Reseller Remix, and I've been to a lot of the Trash to Cash stuff. So Dave is there, so you might not know. No, it's really the best thing for me is the networking. You know, I watch a lot of YouTube. I'm fans and I'm friends with a lot of YouTubers. And yes, a lot of them attend, but that's also a big part of the draw. Like you get to meet some of your favorite YouTubers. You will get a chance to talk to them, pick their brain, get an idea of some of the stuff they're doing. For me, I want to learn social media. When I go, I'm going to learn more about social media and learn some of the, editing tricks and some of the things they're doing behind the scenes when they're recording and stuff, because that's where I'm at. I don't go to learn as much of the reselling stuff. I've learned reselling stuff for sure, but I'm going to learn a lot of the behind the scenes social media stuff. But like to get a chance to talk to some of your people that do the same thing as you, like-minded people that are doing this, it's great networking. And then, there's always a lot of vendors there that you can talk to them in person. Like you can talk to Whatnot representatives in person. You can talk to List Perfectly people right there. They're right there. They make themselves available, and you can have great conversations and learn a lot. I recommend them. I have a great time every time. Every single one I've been to, I've had a great time. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo what Jimmy said. It's really finding your tribe, and we talk about it in eBay Open as well. Because at some point, right, you can keep going over and over again, but you gotta find your people, and I think that's one of the things that people miss because one, I mean, it is actually kind of hard and actually daunting. I mean, even for myself, like even like LP, the camp listing party was one of the, I would say, the hardest event I've had to go to, because it's not something that the people were not like, I didn't know a lot of people then, and that's how I met Kat and Rod there,
Yeah.
and you just have to be open, and you just have to learn how to listen. And if you find the people, like Jimmy said, like if you find the people like that you look up to, talk to them. Like at this point, like if you have a plan to talk to these people and you want to learn from these people, then it's worth it. But if you're just gonna be shy heading there, it's gonna be it's gonna be expensive, because you're thinking like, okay, I really didn't gain much. I spent all this money, because there has to be an ROI. It's an investment to you as a person and as a business. So you have to, right, the way we're sourcing, right? We're sourcing. Okay, I gotta make 10x my money. Okay, how much knowledge do I need, and how much support of a community do I need? And I made it a point that, especially on that camp listing party, I made it to a point to talk to short form content people. So I talked to American Arbitrage. Don't know the guy. I literally just Googled him, and because it's just, he's not a sneakers guy, but I've seen his work, and I was like, and after that, as soon as I knew who had the biggest short form audience, I just went to him and I just talked to him straight.
Gary's
And
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
he's
then
awesome.
and then I learned of this guy Kevin Commonwealth Baker. Yeah, everybody knew, and I'm like, where have I been living, right? And then looked him up on Facebook. And I was like, man, this guy got a big Facebook page. And then I was like, okay, I want to have that one too. And then I just start talking to him, and and it just 3 days straight, I just made a point, and then now we're like, DM friendly, that I can reach out to him. So like, always gotta have a goal, because at the end of the day, it starts as networking, right? But you want to build more than just a hi and hello networking, kind of like what Jimmy said. It's actually knowing that, finding the tips that they do. And crazy enough, a lot of these people, are nice and are willing to give out free tips. So, you don't have to pay them. You don't have to enter their course. They're not going to flash their course in front of your face right out of the gate. But yeah, that's. I mean, I didn't even know Kat and Rod had this show, and then that's the reason why I had this opportunity to like have 350 people listening to me right now. That's kind of wild, but
Right.
you gotta expand, and that's the thing. I mean, that's the challenge that I'm doing right now because I do all the sneakers event and everything like that. It's kind of like easy, but stuff like this, it's different. And then now my goal is to learn from a different category people. So that's kind of like how I made this kind of like a goal this year. That's why I'm going to different events.
So I will put it this way: they're worth their weight in gold. And I can just tell you my path for the last year. I quit my job beginning of October last year. I went to my first reselling event. I didn't know anybody. And with the Prison to Profit event, I met Kat, I met Kevin, I met Dave. Okay, at those events. I had barely had over 1,000 followers on YouTube at that point in time. I took after the show, after the event, I messaged every single buddy that I met there. Said, "Hey, it was nice meeting you. If you need anything," Kat invited me to come on the show. It was just timing, sometimes timing. And Julian was leaving. I came on the show. Julian left, and she asked me to come to be your co-host at the time. We hit off really well there, and I got that. From there, I went to my first highway sale. I talked to Kevin at the event about VHS because he's really into VHS. Kevin actually invited me to come up to his cabin to do a couple videos together, and we went to the highway sale of that. ADH Dave invited me. He just moved to Florida, so he invited me to come pick him with him in Florida. So all that happened just from one event. From there, I got to meet a lot of other resellers. I just got to network with people. I went to FlipCon. I was a speaker at List Perfectly this year. I just got back from the reseller rally. I learned something at every single event. I met Ken there. I got to network with people. I took in so much knowledge in the past year. I've been selling on eBay since 1999. I learned more probably in the past year just from talking and networking with other resellers than I have anywhere else. And that's worth its weight in gold. And I would pay tens of thousands of dollars knowing what I know now to get all that information because it has been great. Every event I go to, I get to get personal. I met Jimmy and Ken at the last event, which is great. And I got to, go out with Ken and hang out with him and his girl there for a while. Like, it's worth its weight in gold. I will say when I went to the FlipCon event, I was struggling and whatnot. I was barely doing $100, $150 a show. I went there. I talked to Flip the World from Texas there. He's going to the bids, literally pulling items out of the bids on Whatnot Live, not even paying for it, throwing it in the cart after people buy it. Then he goes pay for it. He has a brilliant. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant. I literally went to Goodwill with Dave and Mike, the Death Pile Picker. They literally bought a whole pallet of toys for $90. We literally unloaded it, put it in the hallway. They did a mystery unboxing in the hallway on Whatnot. Sold over $600 worth of stuff. There's 3/4 of the pallet left. We literally loaded back in the truck and donated it back to Goodwill. Just within 2 hours. So it blew my mind. I looked at Whatnot completely different. It changed my whole projection on Whatnot and when I'm going to go forward. Now I had maybe 200 followers. I'm up to like 1,200 followers on there. I'm averaging between $500 and $1,000 a show now. Like, it just changed my whole path and how I resell. And these are things that are so important. So it doesn't matter if you're YouTube. It doesn't matter what level you are selling. Go to these events and talk to everyone because everyone has their own story, and you will learn a lot, and you will meet people to network with or to reach out and contact because resale is a very lonely place, especially if you're not in the community, but you need to get yourself in the community. And it's been great. It's literally changed my life going forward.
Man, I didn't even know Kevin has 5 different accounts. Is this his troll account that's here?
No, he has a flipping channel and a picking
he
channel.
has all kinds of accounts.
So
Yeah,
everything that's Commonwealth is his.
Yes, Commonwealth.
Okay.
Even the state,
No, like the Commonwealth Bank, the Commonwealth real estate, something like
That's
that.
why we would see
Everything is all Kevin.
Oh, no wonder. That's why the Commonwealth trailers and stuff
The
like
trailer,
that. Right?
yeah.
Like,
The
wow,
trailer.
man. That's what I'm saying, right? Like, goals right there, like, when I become, of Kevin's age, I want to be like him.
You got plenty of time then. You got plenty
Listen,
of
Wow.
I thought he was were born in the same year. Buddy.
Wow. No, I thought he was only a few years older than me. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I wanted to say, like, as far as comparing them, it's hard because they're all so different. Some of them are more for networking, like I would say the reseller rally, but networking, like Rod said, is priceless. You learn stuff, even if it's not in a, structured setting. You're going to learn so much just from networking. So I would say if you're going to them, talk to people. Don't be afraid to just walk up and start a conversation. I have been to the rally. I have been to Camp Listing Party. I've been to Prison to Profit. That is where I met Rod. And that was more a fun, networking type thing.
Yeah.
Camp List Party was a little more kind of educational oriented. But there was still a lot of networking time. So I think it really depends on you. But I think you get what you put into it. You're going to have to strike up conversations. You're going to have to meet people. And the thing I've noticed most a lot, there are some of the same people that are going to be at kind of all of them, but then you're going to get some more of like West Coast people. You're going to get East Coast people because some people can't travel that far. So you will find different people at the different locations. So there's value in all of them as far as networking and what you're going to learn. And like Ken said, figure out who's doing what you want to learn about. And if they're going to be there, you go and talk to them. And we
find
are
a popular guy.
Yeah.
We are way over, but just send us a super chat so we have to answer her question. And then we will let everybody say bye. Jess wants to know, how do you feel about using stock photos? Personally, I don't see a ton of them when I'm comping media. So if she's saying media, that makes me think not like you're stealing photos, like eBay has a stock photo of DVDs or books or things like that. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I've never used them. And, actually, eBay Open was one that I went to one of the first one I went to was the eBay Open. And like eBay was saying that they have that there for that reason. And it's like their catalog or whatever they were calling it. It's all right to use. So as long as eBay says it's all right, I think it's all right. But don't steal from. I wouldn't steal from other sellers. We're not talking about that. We're talking about just using like the catalog stuff.
Yeah, it has an option to use stock photo.
Okay, just make sure, like, if you have any kind of condition issues or anything like that, or if you're selling something that's not in new condition or not in that original condition, you want to make sure those pictures are available for them to see, like, not just in the description. You want to make sure the any kind of condition issues are also in the photographs. That would be my only thing that I would say to make sure of.
I don't use stock photo because it's, for me, it's like a buyer confidence that you actually have it in your possession. You're not like a drop shipper. That's kind of like how I see it in a kind of like an eBay setting. Of course, Nike will be a trusted, source, Nike.com or finishline.com. But I think as a small business, you kind of want to represent yourself like as a small business that you have it. Actually, crazy enough, I actually don't use white background because it's been preached so much in our category that white background, SEO, and everything like that. I actually have like a gray background. So I actually stand out of all the white backgrounds. So it could be like a reverse thing because everybody's following suit. But I always highly recommend to take your own photos, with the current cell phones right now, and even the background remover tool has been so much better than ever. It just looks way better. But yeah, it's just better. More photos would do you well than just stock photos.
So I think it really depends what type of category you're selling in. And for example, what eBay is doing is they're going out the 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is Amazon. Amazon uses stock photos for their listing. And what you do is you just scan the UPC code. It's mostly for books or media. Yeah. That's the biggest thing, books or DVDs. And it's just a quick pops up a photo, and then you change your condition based off that, and it says stock photo. So that's all. That's what eBay does. It's just a way for people asked earlier how these people selling all these books and these DVDs so cheap because they're just putting out tons of them. They're using stock photos. They're putting less time into what they do. They're using templates for their listings. But I would say, I mean, if you're using a DVD or book, I don't think it really matters that much, for the item because, that's what we're customized just based off Amazon. But I mean, for anything else, you want to use your own photos because, like as Ken said, you want to stand out. But also, too, is I've been using AI backgrounds for a lot of my my products now, and adding that extra element makes me stand out from the crowd and gets more attention to my listings.
Yeah, and I used to use the stock photos, but I can't remember. We had somebody on that just sold media and said like adding that middle look. Now he's here on another name. Adding the middle Garage Sale Nation is him too, Ken.
Oh,
That's
He's
the
everywhere.
that's the troll account.
okay.
That's
Let
the
me
troll
follow
troll.
this guy then.
So, like, if you open the DVD and show the disc, like, I think again that they like sets you apart from everybody and just helps a little bit. But other than that, yeah, I wouldn't use them because it only takes a couple seconds. All right, I'm giving you a dolphin, and then Jimmy and Ken are going to tell you what's going on. Then Rod, Will, and me, and then we'll let you go. We're super duper late tonight, so here is your dolphin. All right, here's Jimmy. Go fast, Jimmy.
I just want to thank you again, Kat, for letting me come on the show. Jimmy Old School Flips. Check out my wife's channel, Sonia Thrifts, and Jimmy's Old School Flips.
Perfect. Here's Ken.
Follow me on the Hustle Bee on Instagram. You'll see most of our updates there. And also, we just launched a new podcast today with Glenn, the Hustler Hacks, and Anna, Anesthetically Miscellany, on IG. Follow us at Seller Club Podcast.
Perfect. Rod, are you making yourself big this week?
No, I'm not making myself big this week. I got a Whatnot going on tomorrow night. I'm doing Disney pins. I hit 1,000 followers on Whatnot, so at the end of the month, I'm actually doing an all-free show to get back to you guys, the community, for all your support. All the items will be free. Shipping is free, so make sure you guys go bookmark those shows. I dropped a new video today on YouTube, so go check that out. And any questions we don't answer, same as always, hit me up on Facebook or hit me up on IG. I would answer any questions we can get to tonight.
I will be live on Whatnot every night like usual. No, tomorrow night I will be on Whatnot with Vintage Estate Jewelry. Thursday is sterling silver plated. I'm doing vintage 1940s Valentine cards Friday morning because they went really well last Friday and I had to end early to go to South Florida. So we are doing more of those. And then that is going to be it for me until I get back from Vegas. But I would really appreciate it. I'm going to schedule them tomorrow. My daughter, Brooke, would like to run 3 shows while we are in Vegas. So I think she's going to run Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like mother, like daughter. She doesn't want to lose her hours. So she's going to run the Whatnot shows herself. And she will be on with jewelry those 3 days. Next week, we have Mike, Joe, and Dan, all 3 on. Philly Picker, January House, and Dan in Demand. Those 3 gentlemen will be joining us. I will be coming to you live from Las Vegas next week. I will be at Boss and be in the Golden Nugget coming live from my hotel room. So I look forward to that. Thank you guys all for coming. We will see you guys next week. I appreciate everybody. Jimmy, Ken, thank you guys. Rod, thanks for not quitting. And yeah, bye guys.